check with Griffin and David. Blank check with Griffin and David. Don't know what to say or to expect. All you need to know is that the name of the show is Blank Check.
At the end of every day, I drive through the city of Charleston and I cross the bridge that takes me home. I feel the words building inside me. I can't stop them or tell you why I say them. But as I reach the top of the bridge, these words come to me in a whisper. I say these words as a prayer, as regret, as praise. I say, podcast. Podcast. It's hard to layer the Southern onto it.
Yeah, no one can do it but him because he's one in a million,
This
one
was
in a billion.
The exact same problem I had on Lorenzo's Oil is
that was his normal speaking voice. I'm not sure what the issue is there.
I think I can
Have
do
you
an
seen Lorenzo's Oil?
No, I have not. Should I have? I went down the rabbit hole prepping for this. I didn't go that far.
I think so.
I mean, I would say it is a genuinely great movie.
Yes.
I actually really like Lorenzo's Oil, but also in the annals of Nolte voices, it's number one in craziness.
This is the thing. Like I can do a Hulk style, warrior style, late stage
Go
Nolte,
ahead.
right?
I was trying to do it for Forky when we watched this movie.
Like
she was
like
like,
tell her where this.
she was
your father, Hulk.
Because I was giving her the whole spiel of like, this was, he's people's sexiest man alive. This is when
is
he's
his
like a
peak
masculine,
year.
and she's like, really, like, and I'm like, and she's like, I know him. Who is he? And I'm like, well, you've like seen Hulk,
You've
right?
You've seen his mugshot probably.
Yeah, she'd seen it's hard.
And Hulk is like 2 hours of that mugshot in motion.
That's why he looked like
But this is the thing. It's like it's easier to do older Nolte than younger Nolte, right? As I was trying to warm up, I was like, how do I remove like 10, 15 years off of my Nolte impression? And then when you try to lay on the Southern or the Italian, it completely falls apart.
So in Lorenzo's Oil, he's playing an Italian man.
And he's
he
going
does
like
have that vibe, doesn't he?
full Mario.
Yes.
And it doesn't.
How do I save my daughter? But like, I can't do it. I can't even begin to do it.
Because it sounds like it's two separate audio tracks, each one coming out of one speaker.
Can I say something?
How could he possibly have both of those voices at the same time?
I want to propose a concept.
Southern Nick Nolte. No,
what?
I'm not that. I'm trying to find it.
No, I think that's getting there.
A little better. It's just, but you're
Hulk.
still doing slightly older, right?
This is the problem. Yeah. Okay.
We need a hall of fame for people who we've covered on this show.
Sure.
And I think Nolte is first ballot because we have covered so many diverse and interesting performances from him.
Okay.
That really represent what a great actor he is and what a versatile actor he is.
Yeah. That
even
Blank
like
Check
in
Meta
Bounces.
Twitter account that every episode posts how many. We need them to start cultivating who the candidates are.
Hall of Fame.
Yes.
This, Lorenzo's Oil, I'll Do Anything.
Hulk.
One of the Hulk.
We are two versions of I'll Do Anything.
Two versions of I'll Do Anything. Hulk. Is there anything else? That might be all of them. But that's what a crazy bunch of movies for us to just have covered. He's got plenty of other good performances.
Yes.
The Hall of Fame is for people who've not just been great, but have been great in movies you guys have covered.
In our personal podcast canon. Right? Like guys who keep popping up.
Yes.
Like we'll do that thing where we're like, weird. Like we've only covered, this actor once or twice, but we covered this guy weirdly like 6 times. And Nolte's really becoming that for us.
Well, it's just like those 4 performances.
Who doesn't want to chip at that block of marble, right?
They're fascinating. We love talking about him. Barbara did.
She chipped that block of marble. That's the whole point of the movie.
We're going to talk about
it. It is just so fascinating that this movie comes out in 1991, end of 91.
Oh, yeah.
Cape Fear comes out a month before this.
Also Southern. Doing a whole different thing, I would argue.
Yes.
Yeah, he's doing a different thing. He's pretty frustrated in that movie, though. He definitely is.
Why? What's frustrating him in that movie? I can't really figure out why. Yeah.
A couple things.
Things aren't going great.
Kind of grinding his gears. But Cape Fear's November 1991, huge ass hit.
Big hit.
Prince of Tides, December 1991, big ass hit.
Yes, very solid hit for a 2-hour, 20-minute therapy movie.
But one of the 20 highest grossing films of that year.
Both 2 hits.
Right. February 1992, he gets his first Oscar nomination.
Correct.
March 1992, he's named People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive.
And let's not forget, then December, The Oil Flows. He strikes oil.
Wow.
Lorenzo's oil.
That's a
94,
92.
That's not later 92.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking
calendar year.
No, but I'm saying in this 3-month period,
very compressed,
and he is at this point 51 years old.
Okay.
He's 25 years into his leading man career.
He's like 50 years old. He was born in 41.
Yeah.
50
so
years
he's
old.
50
Me and Babs
years
are like
old.
the same age, I think.
He's the same age as my dad, like almost exactly.
There you go.
But he's like cresting at this moment.
He is. It's funny because I do think. So this is to borrow the rewatchables.
Sure.
Is this his Apex Mountain? Is that what you're arguing? Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
It's not 48 Hours just because that movie was so seismic.
No, because Eddie blows him off the screen.
Wait, no. Eddie makes himself a star.
Yes.
Nick Nolte does not get blown off of screens. No. He does not.
Okay,
you cannot blow Nick Nolte off the screen.
You're right.
And he is amazing in 48 Hours.
No, I agree with you.
Yes, I have to draw the line.
I agree with you.
But then
Eddie,
it's like his next few years, it's sort of like, what do we do with this guy?
This is my point, though. But like, Rich Man, Poor Man is 76.
So handsome in that.
So there's 25 years between Rich Man, Poor Man, which is when he becomes like a leading man, right?
Yeah.
He's starring in movies by the end of the 70s.
Rich Man, Poor Man is definitely like, okay, what do we do with this guy?
Right.
Like,
so there's 25 years between that and Prince of Tides.
What if there was a rich man and a poor man?
I think this has to be his Apex Mountain. And then right after this, it's sort of like, congratulations, Nick Nolte. You're at the absolute A-list of leading men.
Yeah.
And then he starts to make some weird-ass choices.
Well, he tried to do anything.
And he loved trouble.
He promised he would do anything, and he did.
I'll do anything, James L. Brooks. It makes sense to take on a project by that man.
Absolutely.
He was bulletproof at
I think we both have the same thought, which is what doesn't make sense is that Brooks wanted him for that role.
But that's what I love about Nolte is directors keep thinking like, there's no one quite like this guy.
Well, which you can't argue with that.
Exactly. Katie, do you like Nick Nolte?
I do like Nick Nolte. I did watch Cape Fear
Do you like me,
around
Katie?
the same time as watching this movie.
Because you're also preparing for a Scorsese.
I'm watching some
project.
Scorsese's, so I rewatched Cape Fear. I have a lot of Southern accent notes. I know we're going to take some time to get into that.
Katie.
But I think Nick Nolte is great in this bonkers movie.
No, he
a bonkers movie. We have to get this out of
Prince
the
of
way.
Tides?
Prince of Tides is a bonkers.
It's a little bonkers.
movie.
I think his performance in it is sensational.
I agree.
And we're going to talk about
Like undeniable.
He is selling crazy stuff that no human being should be doing or saying.
But
And you're like, yeah, great.
Like anytime this movie is swerving into you being like, I give up. I cannot keep track of this thing. He kind of is pulling you back.
He's grabbing you by the
collar. He calls someone a
collar.
possum breath cocksucker in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you
He
want to
deserved
make
it,
out
too.
with him?
Yes.
Yeah, well, of course he deserved it. I don't know why he's a possum breath, though. Is that
Because that's what Southerners say,
I
obviously.
know, but like those European violinists, so he's eating possum.
Well, he was taking bites of possum between sucking cocks. What do you mean? I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory.
Possum breath cocksucker.
Possum breath cocksucker.
That was good.
Throw your fiddle off a balcony.
Both of you, that was good. He does call it a fiddle like 3 or 4 times.
Because
Right?
he's mixing in that homie charm.
I got
you
a
know?
pricey fiddle here in my hands. I'm going to play foosball with it.
I mean, if somebody looked you in the eye and played Dixie while like smiling smugly at you, you'd throw that shit off the balcony too. You
would.
don't have to be from the South.
And you would accuse them of being a possum breath cocksucker.
But again, like, we'll talk.
You're getting too riled up too early.
I mean, is that in the book?
Yes, that's all. Yeah. So
That's in the
I
book?
The possum
Okay.
breath?
yeah, I reread the book
Well,
for
we'll
this
introduce
too.
you.
So I got a lot. Yeah, I
Okay.
got a lot to get into.
But I was just wondering if, because that's
wait,
such an
possum breath
insane
cocksucker in the book?
No, the violin playing.
No, the
Just 'cause
violin
it's
stuff's
an
definitely
insane
in
thing
it.
to do.
It's-
But well, that's what he does.
Yep.
Listen, this is Blank Check with
Violin
Griffin
burn.
and David.
Uh-huh.
I'm Griffin.
I'm David.
Getting over a head cold. As is David.
More chesty for me. Barely heady.
You know what? You're right. Mine's
Kinda
more
more of like
chest
a
as well.
cough,
Mine's
like-
more chest.
Yeah.
This
No,
is less
COVID
like
negative.
a sinal congestion thing,
Yeah.
which it usually is for me.
Yeah.
The seasons are changing.
Hmm.
The tides of New York City are shifting.
There are tides here. There
Yeah,
are.
Absolutely.
Tom Wingo
New York's
wouldn't
got
believe you,
tides.
but they're here.
He would. I don't think the weather ever tides.
Too fruity for me.
He likes New York.
He loves New York. He falls in love with it.
Yeah.
Falls in love with Soho. We'll
Yeah.
talk about it.
Falls in love with
There's so much to talk about with this movie.
It's just funnier to pretend all of these lines are
that he's the
delivered
Hulk.
with modern day Nick Nolte voice.
Well, I don't know what modern day Nick Nolte.
I'll
Because the
tell you
Hulk
what-
is 20 years
You
old.
can't-
Yeah, I'll tell you
hear
what
him
modern day
speak,
Nick
it's too
Nolte sounds
low.
like.
I mean, The Mandalorian? Is that the last
No,
time
he's
I
on Poker Face.
Yeah, he's incredible in Poker.
He's great in that episode.
And
of
he was
Poker
definitely very easy to understand in that one.
Let me animate my puppet's poker face.
Another normal guy from Nick Nolte.
I just want to do my go motion in my garage.
Oh, God. Leon, like, sounding like the voice of an angel compared to him. Not a hint of sandpaper.
It's a podcast about filmographies. And sometimes about Nick Nolte. It's about, but primarily it's about directors who are experienced massive success early on in their careers and are given a series of blank checks to make whatever crazy passion projects they want. And sometimes those checks clear, and sometimes they bounce. Baby, this is a mini series on the films of Barbara Streisand.
Mm-hmm.
It is called Podcastle. Of course.
Sorry, I'm hearing it for the first
What
time.
else would it be called?
I'm so happy.
Normal.
What else would it be called?
It could be called something like the Prince of Podcasts or whatever, but
We wouldn't
that's
do that.
boring.
Yeah. But today we are talking about The Prince of Tides, a bonkers movie.
Big hit.
Big
Her
ass hit.
second film as a director.
Yes.
Our third episode, but her second film.
Yes.
2 of 3.
Yes. A perfect little trilogy.
Yep. Numero dos.
Yeah.
In the Insane Movie trilogy.
Yes.
It's like, Van Sant's like, I have my Death trilogy. Barbara's like, I have my Insane Movie trilogy. They're all crazy.
Yeah. I'm going to throw out a thing in just a second. After I introduce our guest, the best. One of the first guests ever.
True.
The history of Blank Check. From Little Gold Man.
And to South Carolina.
And it's South Carolina.
We're
I
gonna-
was going to get to that.
Oh, we're
Morning
getting
bread.
there. Don't worry about it.
I was going to get to that. From Vanity Fair, Katey Rich,
Hi.
our dear friend.
We haven't done this in person in since
Yes.
before the pandemic.
What's
This is
the
really
last
exciting.
time?
In person, I think it was Collateral.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's right.
I think that was literally in
You changed into a party dress in
27.
the
I changed into a
Onion
party
Boom
for
bathrooms.
Graydon Carter's retirement party.
Oh my
That's when that
God.
was.
Was that
Crazy.
2017?
I think it was.
Jesus.
That is 2019. 2019.
It's 2019.
Okay.
Because you were in town.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna look up the dates. I was in town, and then I did Zoom ones for
Seattle.
Sleeps in Seattle and
Seattle.
Death by Comser.
Yes.
And Starman, my friend.
And Starman.
And Starman.
God, that was fun.
Yes. And of course, we had a voicemail from you and still record holder, youngest guest ever on the show.
Oh yeah.
Charlie, your son Charlie.
Who did not
gave
see Prince of
his
Tides?
top 10 list.
Just
Yeah.
wanna be
He hasn't
clear
seen
for
that
the- not yet. His South Carolina heritage. We're gonna have to get to
What
that later
would
on.
have happened if you'd sat him down
I
and
think
put this
he
on?
would have been incredibly bored.
Yes.
Like
But
really.
I guess
bored.
how quickly does he tap out?
For movies at home, pretty quickly because he's like, oh, I could be playing Switch right now. Like in a theater,
That's
like
tough.
you're gonna get a longer runway, but at home,
Sure.
like the options are limitless.
I mean, this movie starts out with kids playing.
It does.
The beach.
He might like the
He loves
beginning.
the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The marshes of the
Has
Carolinas
he
we're
ever been to
familiar
the
with.
Sea Islands?
Oh yeah, we've spent time on the coast of South Carolina in
So
his youth.
maybe he'd be like, "This is great.
Yeah,
I
and
love
then he's
it."
gonna be like, oh, so now there's a therapist's office.
I want to get in love with a Jew.
Maybe we should watch Yentl. Maybe that'll be the first.
I need you to
Streisand.
help me get your sister out of her catatonia by sharing stories of your youth with me, and then we'll fall in love. That's the premise.
Yeah.
That's the plot. That's the pitch in the room.
I'm no psychiatrist, but I think that is standard practice of how you work with your patients.
My patient's in a coma. Get the brother. he'll fill in the gap.
Should I see him every single day?
Yeah, I should probably fuck him and bring him to every dinner party.
Should I get
Go
my
to all
teenage
his
son
dudes.
involved
Yeah,
for
best
some
friend,
reason?
fuck buddy, son's football coach.
I somehow always forget, just having just seen this movie again, the football I always
Jason
forget.
Gould
There it is.
looking not like a teenager.
I mean, that
What do you mean? You totally look like a 15 years old, clearly. Sorry.
that
Go ahead.
subplot is so layered.
I love it.
I want
love
to
the
get
subplot.
into it.
Yeah.
But this is the second Jason Gould movie we've covered on the podcast, talking about people in the Hall of Fame.
Because he's in, of course,
Say anything. He's the drunk friend in
He's,
the back of the car.
Dude, like Keys, you have to chill. Like whatever
Yes.
that is. It's really funny.
But that is how many years before this movie? 7?
That's 1982. No, sorry, 89. What am I talking about?
Oh,
so it's only
oh,
2
it's
years.
just-
okay,
yeah,
okay. I take it
Only
back.
2 years
I take
before.
it back. That's less egregious than I thought
But
it was.
he's
Yeah.
got the kind of crazy haircut
Flock of
in
Seagulls
that.
kind
yeah,
of
the
hair.
Flock of
Yeah.
Seagulls.
Yeah.
Somewhere between Robert Smith and Flock of Seagulls. Yeah.
I mean, he's not. He looks good. Look, with
He
those
does.
parents, of course he looks good.
I
Yeah.
think Jason Gould is handsome and talented.
Yeah.
And he plays the violin at the end. I assume that was a little bit him.
Yeah, I wondered that.
He's
In
a
Grand
musician.
Central, it's an obvious place to play the violin. It's
Yeah.
just going to bounce off all of the
You're
walls.
always watching emotional violin playing and when you're, getting on your Metro North train. Oh, of course. Yeah, the gay son of Barbara Streisand is playing the violin for Nick Nolte, his football coach, right now. Anyway, track 18. Yeah, let me get on here.
So this is the thing I kept thinking while watching this movie. Is there like any analog for this today? Is there like any film that we have?
I mean, it's boring. It'd be TV because this is going to be TV, right? Apple TV's making this
Tate
again.
Taylor's remaking
Are
this for
they
Apple
though?
TV.
I saw that headline and
my
it came
guess
out like
is a lot
2021.
of these projects are dying on the vine.
I mean,
but yes, okay. Is there a filmed version of this that would exist today?
I'm not even saying that. I'm saying
no. I mean, like this, like a sort of 2 hour plus emotional, like adult romance,
right?
But it's a drama.
Yes,
like a little funny, but largely drama.
And deals with like hot button stuff. Like I think if this book gets adapted today, they're like you do the like kind of kitchen sink, bare knuckle, like really raw version of this. There's no version of going like we have to find a way to make this material like mall friendly. You know that
I guess so.
Gambit of like
we're just talking about missing the paperback movie. You know,
I've been watching a lot of legal thrillers recently. I've been watching a lot of Grisham movies, and it's that same thing where you're like, it's wild that this was viewed as like the premier slice of like adult popcorn franchise filmmaking.
It's a 3-quadrant movie. What?
Is Where the Crawdads Sing, not the
That's a murder mystery.
So the genre twists are what make all
Where the Crawdads Sing is close-ish, but like that's a murder thing.
It's the closest equivalent, and I still think there's like that movie is doing this weird sort of like indie film cosplay, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Where
it doesn't
even
have
though
the studio gloss thing,
right? Where it's like we need to make this feel a little gritty,
and that thing did well.
So it did very well.
It's obviously a sign of let's come on Hollywood.
It was not critically respected. Yeah,
well, it was bad. I mean, look, they're not all going to
It made one mistake.
It wasn't well made.
Right.
Well, those crawdads didn't sing loud enough for you to hear them. So
no, but I think that's kind of the equivalent. But look, for better or for worse, because we've been we're recording this because you were in town, overlapping a little bit with our Fincher records. So we're still in that zone, and we've been doing the Fincher airport paperback.
You're in the Gone Girl, Dragon Tattoo era. Okay.
Right. Where his whole thing is like, I'm not going to fucking clean these up at all. The fact that this book's a bestseller means that I get to put this on the screen and you're not going to question it.
Yeah.
Whereas like Streisand is doing this fascinating, like, how do you make this work in a Hollywood movie?
Yeah, and she's taking a book that is massive and has so much weirder stuff than what you see in the movie. I cannot express to you how weird the book is.
I hope you try. It's also quite long. Right?
It's very long. And it's got a lot of like southern kookiness in it that you would think of like fried green tomatoes or like
right at the same time.
Right at the same time that like there's just not time for. So she kind of reframes it as being this romance, which is a big part of the book, but it's almost like the frame story for all the like juicy southern melodrama. And she's like, no, I'm Barbara Streisand. This movie's about me.
Right.
So
I've never had fried green tomatoes.
Oh, they're amazing.
Phenomenal. You've never had them?
Great.
I haven't. I've only been to the South like a few times in my life. I don't know.
Come back and we'll fix it.
And that's a cuisine that didn't cross the ocean. There's no Southern food in like Europe. It doesn't exist. Don't you look at me.
There's fried chicken.
There's fried chicken, but that's a cuisine that exists in a lot of places in the world. Lots of people have had the concept of breading chicken and dumping it in oil. Good concept, to be clear. Thumbs up.
KFC though.
I've heard of them. Yes,
It does exist in the UK.
But like you can't. Yes, I know, but you can't get like a chicken fried steak. You can't get fried. You can't get hush puppies.
In the UK, do they make him Lord Sanders?
King Sanders.
Lieutenant Sanders, I think, is ready to go.
Lieutenant Sanders. I just like the idea of having to reframe Colonel Sanders.
Also,
Baron Sanders.
Baron Sanders.
KFC exists, and correct me, again, it's been 15
Sanders.
years, but like, I don't know that any other chains like that, like Popeyes or any, have ever made the now maybe they're trying.
Possibly.
Chick-fil-A, et cetera. I don't know.
Sure.
They don't have fried green tomatoes at any of those places, so you got to come
No,
south
that's
and we'll
what I'm
fix
saying.
this for you.
I'm talking about real.
Have you had pimento cheese?
Huh?
Have you had pimento cheese?
I mean, I have had pimento cheese.
Okay.
Yes,
It's pimento cheese and fried green tomato on a sandwich.
Sounds fun.
Is where it really gets good. So.
Yeah. But I ain't had no pimento cheese in the UK.
no,
my friend.
Would probably taste terrible.
I don't think they would do a very good job about it. Like Southern food and Mexican food, I think England has largely been like, we would just mess that up. We don't
need
want
to
us doing
take a stab at this. I guess this is the bigger part of like, right. In the 90s, adapting any bestseller book is still a pretty safe bet, right?
Yeah.
Like that holds cultural sway.
You write a hit book, studios will be interested.
Right.
Yeah.
Your advertising budget's basically covered already.
Yeah.
And you can attract top talent to do it. And you do it at the highest levels of studio filmmaking. And there was always this thing. I just remember like a piece I read Mad Magazine probably in the mid 90s that like stuck with me.
Right. Because you read Mad Magazine for the articles.
I did. I'd rip out the centerfold.
Aragonese, he's gone.
Yeah. That stuff was smut. What Aragonés was doing in the margins
Disgusting.
was smut.
You read a piece in Mad Magazine. I'm just imagining like 8-year-old Griffin, you know, like sitting in an armchair, being like,
Prince of Tide sounds pretty good.
With a little bubble pipe.
Right.
No, there was a Mad Magazine piece that always stuck with me that was like movies versus reality.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And it was like a side-by-side thing. And it was basically a piece on like the way 90s Hollywood films would take true life stories and clean them up.
Sure.
Or like kind of naughty novels and streamline them and take out the thorny parts. And there was that kind of thing where it's like, well, you're going to make this into a big Hollywood film, but obviously you can't put that in there. And this character can't do that. And that character has to be removed entirely.
Right.
And Prince of Tides is one of those things where you're just like, well, you kind of can't get around what the movie's about.
No, I guess
you can't rewrite it entirely. You can like shift focuses.
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
they
it's all
do.
leading up to the worst thing that you can imagine happening to a family, which they show so much more of than I remembered.
And she's like trying to fight to figure out the tone that can support and needing to stare that directly in the eye.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could have changed or sanitized or sort of toned down that trauma, I guess. It probably wouldn't have gone well.
Well, that specific traumatic scene, we might get to it. There's one dramatic change from the book.
There's a dramatic change.
That we can get to when we get to that scene.
But
like, you know, you've got the abusive father, and this is the author of The Great Santini, which had already been a movie. So if you want to really change the focus.
This guy had a bit of a bad dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
He kind of keeps showing up.
Yeah.
But you can change the focus to be a bad dad story, which is much more standard. But like, I don't know if the movie is better if you do that, right?
No,
it's worse. It's way worse. That's the thing. Like, because the Lowenstein is less crucial to the book, right?
Yeah.
The book is much more rooted in his
she's
past.
like tell me the story of your life, and you're like, and the story of the life is what takes up hundreds of pages.
And I think at the time people were like, well, of course Streisand gets her hand on this, and the psychiatrist is all over the picture.
Yeah.
But if this movie is just like, I had a shitty family, let me tell you about it, it could be fine. But like, this movie instead is like, let me tell my psychiatrist about it and fall in love with her upper crust, like Upper East Side life, and have sex with her and coach her son at football when he's clearly a concert violinist.
Yes.
I'm like, now this is a movie unlike any other. And it's really watchable, and it's well acted.
Incredibly
largely.
well acted. Yeah.
And it's something I will think about. Versus, like, there's a lot of films such as The Great Santini, a great film. I love The Great Santini.
Yeah.
It's a good film, but it's, you know, a great bad dad movie.
Yes.
I can watch that if I need to see just a bad dad.
Right. It's the difference between this is a movie made by a director.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So talking about like analogs, right? Because I feel like when Bradley Cooper started his directing career, the thing was like, oh, he's doing the Beatty, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's following in this model. Bradley Cooper is the analog to Streisand.
I had this exact thought watching this movie.
We just did the fucking Star is Born, hers, right? Which then never seen it before. I didn't realize how much Cooper's movie is directly remaking her movie.
It's the music movie. So it's the most reminiscent in a way. Yeah.
And I have not been lucky enough to see Maestro yet.
Maestro.
Only
I have seen Maestro. Katie is seeing it, I believe,
I'm seeing it tomorrow as we speak. Yeah.
Our episode will have already come out on it by this point in time, but we're recording
really
this early.
With the timeline here.
We're really flipping
Much
it
like
up.
Tom Wingo sorting through his childhood memories.
Much like Bradley Cooper's presentation of the story Maestro.
Well then.
But similarly, it feels like, they're like working through some stuff, right? Like what material they choose to glom onto and how they frame those stories.
I love.
Well,
I mean, certainly that is my take on Maestro, while being respectful to the private life of Bradley Cooper, which I know nothing about.
Of course.
Except for gossip and innuendo.
I make no direct.
No, 100%. But yes, which I much prefer. And that's why when I've been hearing rumors of like, oh, Cooper's being such a diva about Maestro, like He wants to show it at the big concert hall and do a concert afterwards. And everyone's like, oh, what a prima donna. I'm like, we need more prima donnas.
We need more of this.
I don't need people who are going to be like, it was a pleasure to work with, this giant conglomerate to bring the best version of Lobo to life. Like, no,
yes.
I want to hear about crazy people.
Like, we love Ron Howard, but we need different actor turned directors. I know.
I'm happy for Ron Howard to do his thing.
Yes.
But he's always been there.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I hear Ron Howard tomorrow, talking like Ridley Scott, I would be like, Ronnie, what's the matter, baby? Like, you okay?
I was talking to someone, I'll anonymize this, but I was talking to someone who was a key crew on Maestro.
Sure.
Department head.
Right.
And was talking about how difficult he was.
Yeah, Mr. B. Cooper.
Yes.
Talking about. Yes.
And I was like, but that sounds kind of interesting
Bradley
to
C.
me. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, anonymize it. That's who I want to anonymize. The director of Maestro.
It would be funny if you knew Bradley Cooper and he was like, I'm such a pain in the ass. Like he's giving you the cut.
Well, he was just like talking about like how exacting he was. And I was like, but that's kind of exciting to me. And he was like, no, let me be clear. I loved it.
Right. Because you get less of that these days.
That's the thing. He was kind of talking through the prism of like, look, he is like super demanding and specific and controlling. And it's like not a very collaborative process. And it's like obsessive. But there's like a thing clearly driving him. And it's nice to work with someone who is that driven. And Streisand, the whole thing with her as a director at this time.
Very normal. Very calm. Definitely didn't have any perspective. Or, go ahead. Yes, the whole thing about her.
No, this weird push and pull of like, she reframes the movie to be about the love story and Lowenstein saving his life and all this sort of stuff. And you're like, oh, what an obvious diva Barbara Streisand move, right? But to some degree, I do think, and this bears out in like the stuff that JJ compiled for us, she is strategic about the fact of like, I want to be directing movies, and my greatest asset in directing movies is making myself the star of my movies. Mm-hmm. I know they won't give me the bandwidth if I don't place myself at the center of the films. She wanted to do Yentl with a different actor, and it was just not going to fucking happen.
And it took her, 10 years to get it made,
yes,
even then?
Right. So she like rewrote it and made the character older because it's like the only way this gets made if it's me and I sing.
She Dobbsed it.
Yeah.
She did a Dobbs. No, the problem with Albert Dobbs, I think, is that his name? Nobbs. Jesus, not
what?
Dobbs.
I was like, who the
Dobbs.
Albert Dobbs?
Albert Dobbs. The problem with Albert Dobbs, right, was that she didn't age it up enough, maybe, right? Like, it was like she'd been trying to make it for so long that when she finally made it, you were like, why
15 years old.
I mean,
in Yentl, you certainly get like a yeshiva boy, eh?
Right.
But it's great.
But this balance of like, and it's what's so fascinating about Streisand's whole persona is like, please don't look at me. Please don't look at me. Why is no one paying attention to me?
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
Again.
I insist that you beg me to.
We need more.
I mean, I can't get over the way that she films herself. And I think this comes up more in The Mirror Has Two Faces, which I'm guessing you guys haven't watched yet.
No,
I watched
that's
that
the
a
most
while ago.
extreme.
Yeah, that's where she does like the full makeover. And it's like, can you believe how beautiful this woman standing before you is? And she's like well into her 50s when she makes that movie.
Yeah.
But even this movie has a like shot panning up her legs, like from Nick Nolte's perspective. Like she
also has like the spotlight from the Eiffel Tower on her at all times. Like,
she knows how to make herself look great. And I don't know if Bradley Cooper,
great.
I haven't seen Maestro, I don't know if he has that yet. I want him to embrace that diva aspect.
But Cooper is not like that, and we'll stop this comparison because
it's a different type of vanity.
His glamour is like, I'm a monster.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like Bradley Cooper doing Elephant Man on Broadway. Mm-hmm. And when he talks about that, and he's like, and I didn't want any makeup, I just did it with my body because my whole body's fucked up. And he'll do these interviews where he's like, well, no one notices this, but like my shoulders are like lopsided. My skull is off angle.
You're right, Bradley. You're hideous. Yes.
He's like so obsessed with all of his like physical things. And it's that same thing where it's like, I think it's different with him. I mean, part of this is like gender divide stuff where it's like he's fighting with perceptions of masculinity.
Yeah.
Whereas Barbara is sort of like, there's still no other movie star in history who has ever looked like her.
No.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's like, it's hard to define like what Jewishness is, right?
But
it's a complicated conversation about
Jewish
like
beauty.
Like, right, how much of this is cultural or right. But you're just like everyone else who is thrown out as like a beautiful Jewish star. The subtext of it is they don't look Jewish, however you define that, right? There's this attitude of like, well, Paul Newman, we're so proud that Paul Newman's a Jew. He kind of looks like a goy, right? you know, or like
Right.
Jewish
Yeah,
actresses
sure.
who got the nose job and then they sort of like assimilate a little bit more. Well, Jennifer Grey's the one who fucks it up, where she like did it after people.
I know.
Have
she never should have done.
Yes.
I mean, whatever. I hope she's happy, but she said she shouldn't.
Yeah,
have done
hasn't she said
Yeah,
she
yeah.
regrets it?
I know.
But it's like the complicated, thorny, like the self-loathing cultural Judaism of Hollywood, right? This like industry created largely by Jewish American immigrants because it was seen as low class, right? This is like the dregs in the same way that they like took over the Catskills, because it's like that's unbecoming to tell jokes at a country club.
Very true.
Making movies, that's like carny folk stuff, right?
It's very true.
Here's an industry we can like build from the ground up. And then part of that is this like innate whitewashing of like, but people don't want to see us.
Mank.
Our attitudes have to be like washed and Anglo-Saxonized a little bit.
Totally. Stay in the shadows. I don't
Right.
know. Yeah. I mean, or whatever. Or present, you know, as all American.
And Barbara is like so unapologetically Jewish, becomes a superstar doing Fanny Bryce, and then is constantly fighting this like, I still never feel like I'm quite enough.
Do you feel like the halves of this movie where like you've got the New York part of it that she's in, which is very like New York her milieu, and then she's got the South Carolina parts of it where it's like sweeping sunsets and shrimp boats, where she's like, look, I can branch out of this. Like you
does
think I
feel
can
that
only
way.
do this New York-y thing, but
Yes.
here we go.
But I also do feel like she has a real grip on what New York is like in the early 90s, Manhattan.
Yeah.
And she has more like my grip on what the Sea Islands are probably like, right? Like if I went to South Carolina, I would be like, so it's bridges and some boats and shit, right? What do you got down here?
Here's my biggest
Are any
question.
crawdads singing? Can we pick up some audio?
My biggest question. What is this color?
Huh?
There's this like Sea Islands color.
Like it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
It's like the main like color of any of the southern parts of this movie, especially the flashback sequences.
Like you talking about the sky
Or
And
you
the
just talking about
water. There's like this color of like all these like sweeping helicopter shots. No,
Okay, I think that's what it is.
I feel like I'm going insane that you guys don't know what I'm talking about. There are like these sweeping helicopter shots of like the water and the sunset and the boats, and
gorgeous
everything is
natural
cast
beauty.
in this one color that's like this weird like pinky orange.
That's sort of
It's
sunsets,
like yeah,
right?
like
You
golden
know?
hour kind of thing.
Tides.
And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the tides. He's the prince of them, you know. Very disappointed Poseidon wasn't in this movie, though. I did think he should have showed up, maybe.
You know, in the book,
And
the
the
Prince
Brian
of Tides
Cohen.
is someone else
SpongeBob.
entirely.
Who's the prince of Is it Luke?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the brother who gets like mostly cut out of the movie.
I mean,
with
I
good
understand
reason.
cutting him out because it's like he's dead.
Yeah.
How much more? You're going to spend another half hour being like, let me tell you about this dead
That's
character.
literally
His
what
story
happens in
is
the book.
sick though. The brother.
I mean, he seems like a badass.
I kind of wanted to see
Yeah,
that
dude, so
play
you-
out.
yeah.
Let's fucking do a sequel. Let's keep Tate
Yeah,
Taylor out of
he
it. That
does like
man's like
guerrilla
1 for
warfare
4.
against the
I know.
Atomic Energy Commission.
You're
which,
giving him one?
that whole thing is based on a real town in South Carolina that's very close to where I grew up, and they moved the whole dang town.
So you grew up in South Carolina?
Yes, grew up in South Carolina. I live now in North Carolina. That's
Yes.
where it gets confusing. I did not grow up on the coast, though. Not
I know
really
you
where
did.
this
You
is
grew up
taking
near
place.
Georgia, right?
Yeah,
You're,
like inland, but near the Savannah River site, which was an AEC post Oppenheimer nuclear weapons plant, which they based that part of the story about the brother in the book on, but it's not in the movie. So
What is the deal with the brother in the book?
he's like the strong, tough guy, so they reveal the big traumatic childhood thing that's like the climax of the movie in some ways, and then after that, he kind of does this like guerrilla warfare thing against the people trying to build the power plant and like blows
Oh,
up a
wow.
bridge. Because
Okay.
like Nolte kind of describes it in a speech, but they basically show that entire thing. And he and the sister try to go save him, and then he gets shot, and that's what happens to him. So it's the same thing, but just kind of off to the
script
side.
most of it out.
But it
right?
makes the title make sense in a way that I mean, I don't know how you guys felt when you got to it in the movie, but you're like, huh, you're the
Makes
prince.
perfect sense to me.
This
Nick
guy's
Nolte's a prince. He talks about tides. No more questions.
football coach and tides. They go together
Tides.
perfectly.
Of course. I respect the tides greatly, and thus I respect the Prince of
Respect and fear
Tides.
them.
Yes.
David?
Yep.
Did you know that traditional bed sheets can harbor more bacteria than a toilet seat?
No.
I didn't either until I read this just now, and guess what? I hate that information.
Well, you know, people are in them. People are lying in them,
This
rubbing
is true.
themselves all over.
I wasn't thinking about the fact that people are all in them.
And if you're sick, what do? You get in bed.
You do. And you get in those sheets, it can lead to acne, allergies, stuffy noses. It's just gross.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there's no solution. That is the end of this ad read.
Oh, it's a real bummer.
Wait a second.
Wait, what's going on?
I'm getting this here hot across the wires. Miracle Made offers a whole line of self-cleaning, eco-friendly bedding such as sheets, pillowcases, and comforters that prevent 99% of bacteria and require 3 times less laundry?
Wow. Okay.
The timing couldn't be better.
Okay. Well, why does it work this way?
Well, let me hit a couple primary talking points, David. Number 1, self-cooling properties for better quality sleep. They use silver-infused fabrics inspired by NASA.
Okay. Space bed.
Ever heard of them?
Yes.
They're thermoregulating, designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, so you're not feeling hot. Get better sleep every night. Number 2, self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver. Ever heard of it?
Yeah.
That prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. Number 3, comfort, ampersand, quality. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high-profile tag of other luxury brands, and they feel as nice, if not nicer, than sheets used by some 5-star hotels. Ever heard of them?
5-star hotels, I have. Yes, they're very well known.
Number 4, designed for your skin. You stop sleeping on bacteria, David. Bacteria can clog your pores, causing breakouts and acne. Get sleep clean with Miracle.
Well, let me spoil something for you.
Please.
I actually have these sheets. They sent them to me and I've been using them. And they're great. So you can go to trymiracle.com/check. Trymiracle.com/check to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%.
That's a good percent.
And if you use our promo check at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%.
That's an even better percent in aggregate.
Miracle is so confident in their product. It's backed with a 30-day money-back guaranteed. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/check and use the code check to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/check to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode.
David, you almost really embarrassed me there. You didn't tell me that you had the sheets. I was about to say that there was no solution. You were just going to let that go out over the air?
You were cooking. The Prince of Tides was released in 1991, directed by Barbara Streisand, a famous singer. I don't know if you've heard of her.
Her second picture, 8 years after her first picture.
Her first film, Yentl, was released in 1983. And after that, Barbara kind of takes a break. She's been pretty famous, pretty consistently for, I think, about 15, plus years at that point. And post Yentl is when she kind of recedes a little bit.
Is Nuts the only movie she does between Yentl and Prince of Tides?
A film I've never seen. A classic, 1987. A classic, David takes the VHS off at the video store and is like, what is this?
What is this?
Almost every time I went to the video store.
It's one of the wildest posters.
Because she's like.
Yeah, and it's a lot of text.
Yeah. Nuts.
Have
you ever seen Nuts?
No, I'm honestly thinking
it's like a courtroom
Mixed
drama.
Nuts, which is not the same thing.
No. This movie is not about legumes or pecans or anything like that. It's about someone who kills her husband, or she's a call girl.
Sex worker,
yeah, that's
right?
what it is. She's yes. And she kills a client and she's trying to be declared mentally incompetent or maybe not be declared mentally incompetent, hence Nuts.
And Dreyfus is her lawyer.
Yeah, Dreyfus in a weird role for him is sort of a nervy lawyer.
Is this like a prestige Oscar
Martin Ritt
play
didn't
thing?
go off.
Yeah,
No
okay.
one liked it.
But it was sort of like her going far
Serious.
outside of her comfort zone.
Yes.
Classic like movie that got like 4 Golden Globe noms and 0 noms from any other
Because
legitimate awards
Yentl
organization.
gets like some Oscar attention, but kind of disrespected, right?
The
Which is going to
Yentl
be
was
the theme of her
disrespected,
career.
and we will talk about that.
Yeah. So you can
Yentl.
imagine her going off that being like, I'll show you, I'll play crazy. And it doesn't work out either.
Right.
She also released the Broadway album, which is a very famous Streisand album.
Yes.
It made went like quadruple platinum or whatever. But I think she's not doing too much. She goes to see Larry Kramer's The Normal Heart in 1985.
I just say quickly, I mean, part of this is it's like she's entering her 3rd into 4th decade of like superstardom, right?
Yeah, sure.
And Yentl is like the thing she's been pushing for her whole career. She gets this validation of like, you did it. People had their knives out, even if it's disrespected by the Oscars. It was like, okay, you earned yourself a place at the table. We have to semi-respect you as a filmmaker. And it does feel, but
I think she was like, it was kind of the butt of jokes at the time a little bit.
It was, but I think she quieted them to a certain degree.
I would disagree with that. I think Yentl people made fun of a lot at the time. I disagree. I think this is the movie that establishes her as more of a legitimate filmmaker. Now we think of Yentl better than they did then.
I think the bigger point is, even if my original point was incorrect, which maybe I'll concede. I think the bigger point is that she, at this point, is like, I'm not ceding control to anyone, right?
Certainly.
I've been able to direct my own films. I'm not just going to be slotted into stuff.
Why'd she make Nuts, though? Well, you know what? Let's talk about it, because I bet you this is a little bit in the...
But she starts to do very little press, very selective about what she does. And just like, I'd rather do nothing for several years.
What's her personal life like at this point?
I'm sure it's very normal. She always dated very normal men. I want to tell you that she saw The Normal Heart.
Okay.
1985, a seismic play off Broadway. Larry Kramer's film about the HIV epidemic. And asks Kramer, can I make this into a movie? A pretty bold notion in 1985. Kramer says when he hears about this, he like collapses in joy. He's like, I cannot believe this. Like, you know, obviously the play is like my life. It's so important to me. But like the idea that Streisand, like she could actually get this over the line.
I think a lot of his friends were like, are you kidding me? She's going to come in and Hollywoodize it and strangle it. And he's just like, the whole point is I wanted to use this as like a tool for communication. I did this as a play because it was the fastest way to get the voice out there.
But he does say, I would have to write the script.
Yes.
He
recognizes Streisand's going to give this a platform. She's going to legitimize the conversation in a way that will get people's attention. But I need to still have the authorial voice over the script.
He says she was very professional. They worked for weeks. You know, like, you know, trying to figure everything out. At one point, apparently, he gave her what he says was a pretty graphic book about gay sex, and I'm sure it disturbed her, but I felt she had to understand something about the physical side of homosexual love. Would love to see that interaction.
That sounds like a real Larry Kramer move.
80s Larry Kramer being like, check this out, Barbara.
The other thing in there is that, like, he has said that Jason, her son, had not come out yet.
Yes, but he was maybe aware.
She could perhaps
and
sense,
she was probably right.
To some degree, her working with this material was her trying to understand.
But she would not let him write the screenplay, or at least not guarantee it in the contract. They got in a fight over it, and that killed it.
Yes.
I mean, also, Larry Kramer and Barbara Streisand are two very strong personalities.
Yes.
So Nuts
kills her first attempt at trying to make it.
Yes. So Nuts, she does produce. Apparently, she clashed with the director. Huh, interesting. And
did she ever consider directing that, or was that always just?
I don't know. Like, it doesn't. It just says that she produced it, and I think she did the music for it. So I mean, she was creative.
The
score.
Yes,
but the score is just her going nuts.
It's just her shaking a bag of pistachios into the microphone. I mean, am I wrong about
one
this?
One of us got to watch Nuts. So maybe I'll check out Nuts.
I'll watch Nuts. I'm going to try to I'm trying to fill in Barbara gaps while we're on this series. Yentl is 83?
Yes, and Nuts is 87.
From 83 on.
And Tides is 91. She's one every 4 years. She throws it out.
From 83 to 2023, a 40-year gap. Am I wrong in thinking she has only acted in 4 movies that she did not direct?
So the others being
Nuts,
Two
Fockers, and The Guilt Trip.
Is that it?
Yes. This is the bigger point I'm trying to make.
Bad.
Guilt Trip is good.
It's good.
Guilt Trip is
like I need to watch
good, and she's fucking unreal.
She and Seth Rogen seem like a good pair.
The whole thing with her is she's always good.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
even in the Fockers movies, I don't like those movies very much, but like, my whole argument for why Meet the Fockers is better than Meet the Parents.
I knew we were going to get here.
Which I debuted to a lot of controversy before. Is largely, I'm just like, I don't know, Barbara Streisand is in it, and that's like kind of huge for me.
Hoffman is unbelievable.
Yeah, the two of them are funny.
I rewatched all 3 of them recently for reasons I cannot explain.
They're aging like
horribly.
Fucking milk. Like the minute those movies came out, they started desiccating.
Hoffman is like destroying in those movies. Streisand is fun, but they give her such a one-dimensional.
Like, you know, I'm a Jewish mom.
Yes.
Like,
sex. Right. You think she was there for like 4 days? She's like, this is what you get?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right, Griff. That's it. Those are her only, credits.
Right. So it's
credits,
like 3 big studio comedies.
Which I assume she was just paid a lot of money.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nuts is the only other film where you feel like, did she almost want to direct this and she wasn't directing, but she's a very hands-on producer.
Yeah. I'm sort of confused as to why she didn't direct it.
I just think from Yentl on, and perhaps it is because she wasn't fully accepted, she's just like, you know what? I'm not playing the game. I'm doing everything by my rules. I'd rather just fucking sit it out. I'm not doing interviews when I don't have to. I do an album when I feel like it. She has this tremendous power of just, she is Barbra Streisand. Anytime she wants to, she can cut a new album, do a residency, do a special, or do a tour, and make so much fucking money and have the attention of the world.
Right, where it's like, you will always have devoted, gigantic, appeal.
Right.
Like now, if she was like, I'm doing a stadium tour, she would sell every fucking one out for like $800 a seat or whatever.
I mean, her memoir is still about to come out as we record this, and you assume that she's making a chunk of money off of that thing.
Right.
No, I'm sure she did that for free, right?
It's also like 1,000 pages long.
That's a Kindle single.
It's a Kindle thing.
Pat Conroy.
Yes.
Katie.
Yeah.
The novelist.
Proud South Carolinian.
Publishes The Prince of Tides, a book confusingly not about Poseidon, in 1986. It's quite long, almost 600 pages. It sells
half a Barbara memoir.
Right, half a Babs. It sells 2 million copies by 1991. A lot of copies, to be clear. Obviously, Water is Wide. That turned into a movie. That's a famous book. Great Santini, You're Gonna Cry, Basketball. Lords of Discipline got turned into a movie. So he's already an established thing. You've seen those. You've seen Great Santini?
I've seen Santini.
Yeah. I haven't seen the others either.
Yeah. And I've seen the Santini sequel.
What's the Santini sequel?
Kicking and Screaming. Basically, I guess it's a Lega sequel.
But everyone's like kind of chilled out at that point. Duvall's just kind of mean. He's not like actively abusive.
That's kind of the vibe he's had for the last
He's
decade
pretty
or so.
mean, and he's still alive, right? Duvall's still with us?
Yeah.
I feel like that's one where I got to check in every day.
So you gotta check by the time this is released, too.
That's the other thing. We're recording this like 4 months in advance.
Like, that's one where I'm like, do I need to catch up on like a couple Duvalls I haven't seen just so I'm really prepped for the obit? No offense to 92-year-old Robert Duvall, who I hope lives for another 50 years.
It is a wild thing of just like life expectancy being what it is, that there is a tier of like legendary movie stars who still feel vital and work a fair amount who are now in their 90s.
Yeah.
92 years old. Now, if Duvall's in a movie now, he's playing an extremely old, probably racist man who's like, that's largely what he does.
He's doing some serious chair work.
I'm sure he's done that since Widows, but Widows is the main one I think of.
He got shot in Widows.
He did.
Yeah.
He did a great job with it. Do you think he's excited when it's like you die not of natural causes at this point? He's like, hell yeah.
I hope he's alive when this episode comes out. I hope he's so fucking alive when this episode comes out.
Like he's on Dancing with the Stars or something?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Prince of Tides.
He's going to play Bi-Beast in the next Marvel fucking Thunderbolts movie.
No, he's playing like a really young character. He's playing Franklin Richards.
He's in Hustle. A really good movie. The Adam Sandler basketball movie.
Yes.
He's great in Hustle.
He's great in that.
Really
a lot of on the phone in that
He
one.
dies of natural causes early in the movie, but in the scenes he's in, great.
He is auto prestige in my opinion. Right. Even in the worst trash.
Can't phone it.
Really, and Hustle's good. To be fair. Conroy sold the rights to Prince of Tides to CBS Theatrical Films, one of the many efforts at like a CBS film studio.
They keep doing that every 10 years or so.
Yeah, it's always bad news.
It is, because it's a television station, for crying out loud. Project gets kicked to United Artists when CBS goes under. J. Preston Allen does a polish of a screenplay.
The great J. Preston Allen.
Absolutely. Robert Mendel is attached as a director. Who is that? He made School Ties. Okay. He made FX. It was a pretty big hit.
Yeah.
But School Ties is kind of, that makes sense as a kind of like, kind of a feely drama.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. Redford is attached.
Makes a lot of sense.
Certainly. Beatty was also rumored at one point. Shocking.
Makes a lot of sense.
And then Barbra Streisand literally hears there's a book with a character called Dr. Susan Lowenstein. That is not a joke.
Yes.
And she's like, I'm fucking perfect for this.
Sounds like a vehicle for me.
No more information needed.
The quote that I love is, I identify with this woman completely, even to a line in the book that says she is in the middle of aging extraordinarily well.
This is the thing with her, okay?
That's from a 1991 interview. That's not even some rueful looking back quote.
The thing about Barbara as a director, and I think she's a very interesting director, is there were such slams on her at the time of like, she's so vain. Everything is this monument to her. It's all about making her look good. And you're like, this is reductive and sexist. And then you dig into it and you're like, look, she was.
I heard the character was a 50-year-old hottie and I was in. I seized the rights in a hostile takeover.
I don't think it is her exclusive interest. And I don't think it's to the detriment of the films, but it's part of the interesting conflict in her work.
I love the idea of her having like an army of assistants where it's like, scour the earth for any story with a 50-year-old hot Jewish lady.
Well, it makes me wonder.
Bring them to me.
Conroy had his books adapted enough at this point. Did he write the character of Susan Lowenstein thinking, maybe Barbara Streisand would play her in the movie?
I would love him to admit that, but you've read the book. It's not a major character, right?
No, but it's like she could be a like strong supporting role in a different version of this movie.
I think if you're writing it as Barbara Bate, you write this movie as a book.
Yeah.
You don't make that a side
Or you could at least like be like, who do I imagine for this beautiful Jewish New York therapist? Barbara Streisand. Like she would come to mind.
And I do not mean to speak ill of Pat Conroy, but I feel like
who is dead, to be clear, so we cannot ask him, unfortunately.
No, it's just like where you're like, and then she had a New York therapist. 50-year-old rich Upper East Side Jewish woman is a stereotypical therapist for someone to have in New York City.
And a real Babs type.
Yeah, it's not like, it was this 28-year-old guy. They play a lot of street ball. Like, it's going to be like a lady in a fancy office.
He could have been coaching the therapist on how to play football and you would have put it all together.
Well, that might have been good.
That would have been really good.
Now, this is a take from Marty Bergman, close friend of Barbara, that I kind of like, where he's like, Barbara's family was fractured by the death of her father so early. Yentl's sort of an homage to her father, he thinks, coming to terms with that loss. Prince of Tides is about forgiveness, I think, and not blaming. It's about coming to terms with other things in her life. Forgiving her mother, forgiving her own son.
Yes.
I guess,
Yikes.
Again, this is Marty Bergman's take.
Yeah.
But Barbara Streisand's take is like, I heard she was hot.
Barbara's father dies when she's a year and a half.
Yes, very young.
And she talks a lot about the Phantom Father, which was her relationship to the man that everyone talked about.
No,
who was
Darth Sidious.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's the Phantom Menace.
Oh, shit.
Darth Plagueis is kind of the Phantom Father, is the implication.
Oh, God.
But that the way her father was spoken of as this incredibly charming, noble, sophisticated man. Her mother remarries, and her stepfather is this like incredibly cold, dispassionate man.
Yeah.
And she's like chasing a father she can never know. And the man who's in front of her. There's a really heartbreaking little anecdote that JJ put in the dossier of her as a little girl being like, you know what? I'm going to like commit 2 days of my life to being exactly what I think my stepfather wants me to be. And just like waited on him hand and foot and sat next to him.
Slippers.
Right.
Yeah.
Watching the football game of like, if I like football too, will he like me?
Let's see if this works, essentially.
Right. And it made no difference. And she was just like, this man will never, ever be interested in me. And that is the part of me that like made me capable of singing like tragic love songs when I was a teenager, is just this inherent like unfillable void inside me. Which also leads to, I mean, and she says this like directly, there's a quote in there, but it's like, it's the part of me that never believed any compliment ever offered to me.
Partly because her mother never gave her any compliments, she said.
And
her mom said, I never wanted you to have a swelled head.
Yes. But she was like, my mother was like realistic of like, you have to adjust your expectations for your career with the way you look.
But it's very interesting because, yes, a lot of these quotes are her saying like, yeah, the Prince of Tides, in a way, it's about learning to appreciate your mother, things like that. That's sort of what it's about.
Sort of?
Yeah.
I would say if that's like her emotional connection in the material, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
If I'm Barbara's mother and I watch this, I'm not like, oh, yeah, we clearly are doing great. This is really repairing my relationship.
Watching this movie and knowing that Kate Nelligan got a supporting actress nomination.
Yeah.
I was
in there
waiting for like a wild catharsis scene in the last act of the movie that does not happen.
Yeah.
No, she's good in the film and she's a theater legend. But that nomination is borderline surprising, in my opinion.
Strange.
Frankie and Johnny was the same year.
It was.
And she won.
She's a huge Broadway actor in the 80s. So, like, right.
But she won the BAFTA for Frankie and Johnny the same year. And several critics groups.
Well, back then, the BAFTAs were drunk off their ass. They would do all kinds of shit.
5 acting nominations for Trading Places. No, the thing I was going to say, several critics groups gave her split Best Supporting Actress for those 2 movies.
And this is the Oscar player, so.
It was one of those years.
Yeah, it's like the one you can single out from it to kind of go all the way.
You don't want to give it to Blythe? Poor Blythe. Nomless.
Fascinating, the Fockers.
That's true.
And Blythe's in The Great Santini, too.
Oh, sure. But I just like Blythe being her, like, wasp foil.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Multiple times over the years, they keep butting heads.
I would say in my Southern accents ranking, Blythe is coming in near the bottom. God bless her. She just doesn't have that, like, I grew up in South Carolina vibe about her.
No, I mean, she did not from the South.
She looks great on a beach,
She makes sense as and I say this with all due respect to the character and the woman, cold fish. The kind of like placid, lovely wife that, 2 minutes in, you're like, Nolte's cheating on her. Oh, boy.
She's cheating on him. That's the twist.
I know. He gets sort of quote unquote permission. Phone call. Who is he? God damn it. It's that fucking guy. I love that scene.
That's a great scene.
That guy sucks.
I just love the idea of that scene of him being like, look, if it was Jim over at the heart, I get it. That guy's $1 million.
My least favorite guy. It's my last choice to cuss me.
This movie is so good.
It's so wild.
Okay, so Pat Conroy is guaranteed the opportunity to write the first draft. They write a script, and Conroy himself says, I don't think it was very good.
I can't imagine how long it was. It must have been crazy.
Streisand says, I adore him. He was fabulous. Then he started to write. He can't really do a screenplay that's too beautifully written. That's how she puts it, like too poetic in a way.
But like the dialogue is not actable when he's translating it directly from the book.
Probably that's what he's doing. Right?
Part of it.
He's like, and then she says, I want to spend 2 weeks with you. I want to get to know you. I want to tell you who I'm telling the story about. So they all hung out. He gave her a copy of the book with the following inscription: to Barbara Streisand, the Queen of Tides, yada, 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 you're the best. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's fucking
yada, 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 you're the best.
Would be funny if that's what he
It's on Wikipedia, I think. And I feel like that it gives you a good sense of his prose, which is very flowery and I think can work better sometimes than others. But I think that's a big part of the appeal of the book that's really hard for the movie to capture is the voiceover Nolte does is all taken directly from the book.
The Criterion Blu-ray of this is fascinating because I, for whatever reason, assume this was one of those discs, like Something Wild, where occasionally Criterion will put a disc out where it's like special features, scene selection. Right. And you're like, you're Criterion, isn't your whole fucking thing?
Yeah, right.
Scooping up all the context. And I, for some reason, thought this was one of those, but this is in fact a movie that got a Criterion Laserdisc release in the early days.
So they have like old commentary or whatever.
Well, it feels like Streisand supplied them with a bunch of shit in a way that only like James Cameron and a few other filmmakers are doing at the time, where they have like multi-angle shit and like breakdowns of her editing process and all this stuff. But one of the things they have is like a go arrow by arrow through gallery of different book inscriptions that Carol wrote to her. And there are like 4 of them, and they're all really good. And they say, much like David quoted beautifully, yada, yada, so on and so forth.
Well, we got to keep moving. Becky Johnson gets the other credit. Barbara works on this script a lot, but
the one I want to say is he said, like, I have, you have given my book back to me.
Yeah.
How nice of him.
I feel like you unlocked a thing. You taught me a lot about how to be an artist. The process of us working together taught me a lot, but also like this book was so difficult for me to work through in working through my past and my demons that even when the book came out and it was acclaimed, it felt too close to me. And I kind of like shuddered and hid away from it.
All right, I'm cutting you off. We got to keep going. Well, come on, we haven't even gotten to the plot yet. And also, I have to tell you that Barbara Streisand took the book on a trip to Greece with her because she wanted to visit the ancient site of myths.
Okay.
I just like the idea for being like, this book needs to like collect some Acropolis vibes.
There's tides in Greece.
There's fucking tides everywhere.
There's only one prince.
Not in Nebraska, where Nick Nolte is from. Just
fair. That's true. Out. They're not really near the oceans over there. They might have some rivers.
They probably do. Rivers have tides?
They can. I don't know.
Sure.
Yes.
I think no.
Rivers can be tidal. Come on, guys.
Yeah, but they have to be near the ocean to be tidal.
All rivers somehow connect to the ocean or whatever. Stop it. We're not having a river tangent right now.
That's like Nemo logic. I don't know if that's real.
Well, like the Thames has tides, but obviously, yes, it's like, whatever.
Where?
The River Thames in London. Don't you dare start. No.
My mouth is agape.
It's been like
David.
months.
What do you mean? Years.
All right. Easiest role to cast. Dr. Lowenstein. That one's going to go to Barbara Streisand. Robert Redford.
Mm-hmm.
First choice for Wingo, maybe. Nick Nolte gets it. Streisand felt like he had the right combination of machismo and sensitivity. Not wrong.
Yeah. Can't argue
That's
with
what
that.
he gives you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's also, look, the power of casting him in this role is watching him for 90 minutes and going like, this guy's suppressing a lot of anger.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
That Nick Nolte playing full charm, you're never losing sight of what he's got bottled.
You still think that guy could, throw your fiddle off a building.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He's going to do it.
Now, Streisand said, she was like, I want you, this is a romantic film. You're going to be a romantic leading man. He was like, no, I'm a character. I'm not that. But she was like, I thought he had all the sense, potential for that, to do love scenes and stuff, like which he hadn't really done throughout the 80s.
This is the thing that makes him the sexiest man alive.
By not doing, because in this movie, they're like, oh, you're a sex symbol now.
Right. I think it's at 50 makes him a little bit more of like a romantic leading man.
Right.
Yeah.
Nolte loves her. Excellent director, he says. She knows the problems of the actor. She's very visual. She thinks in rhythms because of music, so she's very attuned to sound. I'd love to hear him talk about Barbara Streisand for 40 minutes. Put it on an LP.
Yeah.
Just him reminiscing about Barbara. You should do spoken word poetry.
He should do an album of duets with Barbara.
But he takes the high part for some reason. She's going low. He also
tell me how.
Jason Gould's in this film.
Her son.
How'd he get cast?
Well, the initial casting went to Chris O'Donnell.
Really?
He was cast.
He was hot back then.
And then Jason thought Jason was too old for the part. Good thinking.
Yep.
But he was quote unquote adamant. Streisand says he never asked me for anything. He's never really been ambitious in that way, never been desired to be famous. But he said, I really want this role.
Interesting.
I don't know. And Pat Conroy apparently saw a picture of him and said, who's this kid? And she's like, that's my son. And he's like, that's Bernard. That's Bernard Lowenstein. Like that'd work.
He does
So Pat
look
Conroy
the
kind of
part
approved.
more
Yeah,
than
he does.
Chris O'Donnell ever
Yes.
would.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chris O'Donnell doesn't read Jewish to me.
No.
He means more like a Robin to me. Right?
Yes. He's got street tough vibes.
Yes. Tough.
Tough. No one tougher than Robin.
No. It's definitely not that Robin.
No.
Kate Nelligan auditioned for the Blythe Danner role.
Okay.
Sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
And then originally they were going to do two different actors for the mom, and they decided to do you'll be the mom, and we'll slap some makeup on you.
But
She's good.
A decision that very early on sets a tone of a certain heightened reality that this movie is playing.
Yes, because you meet her in old age makeup before you ever see. Well, no, you see her young in the very, very beginning.
do,
but
you
she
do.
doesn't speak until she's there in the old age
I love
makeup.
the beginning, and let's just of just like Nick Nolte's doing narration.
Yeah.
Growing up on Hilton Head, wherever the fuck this is. What a time.
The sweeping James Newton Howard score.
James Newton Howard, who dated Barbara Streisand off this movie.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Amazing to think about them. Like he's like, can I show you some,
sitting in the
lay down some tracks for
mixing
you,
room.
Barbara?
String arrangements.
Sorry.
The score's so good it makes her go wild.
James Newton Howard did the score, but it's soaring score. And he's like, it's so good. Tides are everywhere. And he's like, my mom, who is a real piece of shit, by the way. And you're like, wait a second.
My shitty mom put a little crown on my head and
Just
deemed
being
me the Prince of
She's being
Tides.
so nice to me right now, but just you wait.
She taught me how to believe in stories. I thought she was great. Of course, she is bad.
I mean, that is the interesting tension of the book and the movie too.
My
It's just
mother,
like,
a
I love my
beautiful
mother.
woman.
I hate my mother.
Oh, I fucking hate it.
It's just this narration, this like Tony Hallmark movie narration, and then it's like shots fired. Like mom and stepdad both suck.
Yeah. But you need that, I think, because you get in like that lushness is what the book is. And I think you need to be like, this is a story about childhood and memories and sea islands and tides. And because it immediately sends you to like modern day people with modern day problems. You need that nostalgia to start with.
When the decision to like within 5 minutes show us Kate Nelligan in flashback and reintroduce her like very close together and they are not going for like heavy prosthetics.
Nah, they've
old
sort of
aging.
wrinkled her up a
It's like
little bit.
very theatrical.
Yeah.
Much in the same way that when he goes to visit his sister in the hospital, like it is theatrical makeup.
The great Melinda Dillon.
Yeah.
Incredible Melinda Dillon.
She's really good.
Yeah.
She actually very
Was always
crucial.
We
Yes.
lost her recently, did we not? Didn't she pass
Melinda?
fairly recently?
We did lose her January.
Wow.
She died at the age of 83. Jesus.
Great. One of the
Natural
great unheralded stars of
I
the-
think she is a
Yeah.
bit of an, even though obviously she's in like Close Encounters and
Two Oscar
Slapshot and
noms,
Absence
yeah.
of Malice and all these like big movies.
Magnolia.
I mean, she's great in Magnolia.
So good, Magnolia.
Well, she gets overshadowed in this movie because she's absent for so much.
This
Yeah.
is certainly a movie where I feel like she's more being deployed as like, when we finally meet this character, we
Sure,
kind of
we
need
are gonna
someone
care about
who
her.
can make that pop
Yeah.
for 3 scenes,
Yeah.
essentially. She's the sister.
Mhm.
But yeah, so all right, so we're in, come on, the Prince of Tides. We're in
Come on,
fucking-
Princess.
So he,
you know,
it's basically
it's not Hilton Head.
the
It's
town
like,
it's based on is Beaufort, which is a
Beaufort
real
is where
town,
they
but
shot
it's
it.
called
Yeah.
Colleton.
Give us the
in
Carolinas
book.
context.
So yeah, basically between Hilton Head and Charleston is where you're talking
Right.
about. So Hilton Head is not so far off, but like some pretty remote sea
I
islands.
think if Hilton Head is slightly fancier.
Yeah, well, Hilton
Sure.
Head's like basically all resorts. Like
Right.
people don't live there, but like Beaufort
Okay.
people live in like all these smaller islands between Hilton Head and Charleston. And then the character, Nick Nolte's character that grows up lives like on the beach on Sullivan's Island, which, so I asked my mom about this, you know, as my like, you know, boomer South Carolina expert. And she said people really do just live in beach houses on Sullivan's Island, which I was like, that looks like a vacation house. But
It looks like a vacation house.
yeah, I mean,
And
they might
also-
have just rented a vacation house to film in,
Well,
but
what if a fucking hurricane blows
so
in?
the dunes back then were much worse than they are now. They have shored up those dunes since then so that
Uh-huh.
you're not going to get knocked over. But this would have been filmed right around the same time as Hurricane
Late
Hugo,
80s.
which was a big South Carolina hurricane. So I don't know. But I did have that thought because you see at the end, like the stairs are getting washed up by the ocean. It's like, dude,
And they got that kind of vinegary barbecue, or is it's mustardy down in South
mustardy.
Carolina,
I don't
right?
know. Coastal might get less mustardy. I don't actually know. It's like either tomato or mustard. You kind of have the fights between the two of them. My part of South
Shit,
Carolina
so
is
good,
mustard.
man.
It's good.
It's good. It's
Come
all
down,
good.
pimento cheese and barbecue and fried green tomatoes on a sandwich. You could do it.
David, let's do the road
Yeah,
trip.
you guys have been saying it.
Let's
I
do
had
the
a child.
road trip.
Bring the child.
Bring the child.
She throws up in the car after 20 minutes.
I'll bring a bucket.
You're gonna need to.
Yeah.
You're gonna need to bring a trough.
I will.
I've visited you in Durham.
You have,
Katie.
yeah.
But I've been to Charleston. And
You've done the Charleston.
and I do it every day.
Yeah.
In the mirror.
What's the Charleston again?
You know, it's the one where you do this.
Oh, wow.
But you do a
Oh, is
lot
that?
of other stuff too.
Oh my God, David, you're
Incredible. You barely know these hands were attached. to
Dancing
these
while
God.
sitting
This
still.
scene in Mad Men where Pete and Allison Brie do the Charleston is like one of the greatest TV scenes of all time.
That's the episode where he does blackface too, where Roger does
No,
blackface.
he doesn't do blackface.
Yeah, Roger
does
does.
blackface.
Right.
Pete
Yeah.
is the only character in that scene to register discuss, along with Don. Everyone else in the
Yeah.
scene registers no discuss. It's only Pete and Don.
Pete turns to Don. He's like, I think this is going to age poorly.
And Don's like, "Don't talk to me, you little fucking weasel." But you know, the Sea Islands, it's all the coast of South Carolina.
Yeah,
People
Barrier
don't know
Islands is what you
these-
could
yeah.
call it too. Yeah, it's incredibly beautiful down there. I think my main thing with this movie is there's not enough of it. Like it's
Yeah,
not really about
You don't like the Rainbow Room? We got nice
I mean,
stuff
look,
in New
the
York.
Rainbow Room is
You don't
okay.
like Prince Street?
The New Yorkie stuff is amazing. I feel like we're going to get to that. But
Yeah.
like the capturing the feeling of the South Carolina coast, like, you know, I'm attached to it. Obviously, the book is very attached to it, but like it doesn't spend as much time there as I think it could and
Sure.
still be telling a story that makes sense. And not even like all the weird subplots, but kind of like a sense of place. I think we said this earlier. Like she gets New York. She kind of sees that it is pretty to be in the marshes. And that's about as far as it can
What's
go.
another movie set there that might?
I mean, the
Because it
thing
is so beautiful.
so
Well, the Big
this
Chill is
is
set down there, right?
I think it's set in Michigan, but filmed there.
Wait, is
I
that
know it's
true? The Big Chill
about-
famously used the Great Santini House.
Yes. And I know that it's about people who went to University of Michigan because my husband did and he's very proud of
No,
it.
no,
but it
it's
was filmed
set
there.
in Beaufort, South Carolina.
Okay.
They went to University
Beaufort.
of Michigan. Beaufort. Sorry.
And then the thing that was filming when I was a kid that I remember is Forrest Gump filmed Vietnam scenes in this part of South Carolina. And we were very attached to that. And also like all the
Sure.
shrimp boat stuff. Like you'll see the 90s were big for shrimp boats. In
There's shrimp. There's material about shrimp and Forrest Gump. I don't remember
we're going
that.
to take you down
Forrest Gump the movie?
They didn't
take
they
you down to
didn't
that
spin
shrimp
off,
company
no.
after lunch for this. Yeah, so that I feel like you can see those Vietnam scenes in Forrest Gump and kind of get a sense of what it looks like, but you don't get the sunsets and the bridges.
What's the socioeconomic kind of like status of this area, because it's a thing I imagine is expounded on much more greatly in the book.
Yeah.
But there's this whole thing of the father being this kind of like schemer who's constantly launching businesses
He's a shrimp
that
boat guy, but he
fail.
wants to jump the ladder.
Right.
Eventually, the mom marries
That's
the
thing.
evil rich
and
gentleman.
Nolte clearly has this sort of like resentment of like, you always wanted to like class jump.
Yeah.
You finally got what you wanted.
Yeah, like she wants to get into like the junior league and she wants to get into the cookbook. So there's this like, you know, high society class in Colleton, the Beaufort stand-in.
Right.
He's like, and so there's this whole like shrimping industry that doesn't really, I guess it still exists. Like you can still get shrimp from the coast of South Carolina, but like fishing is global and everything. So it's kind of, there isn't really, no, there's plenty of it, but I don't think there's as many people making their livings as shrimpers as there were in the 50s when the flashbacks are set. So yeah, they have an island that was like in the family since the Civil War, and that's the only thing they own of value. And the father's always investing in these cockamamie schemes and losing money, even though he's a good shrimper. And he buys a tiger, which you see in very briefly.
You see that briefly in the movie. Maybe it shouldn't be in the movie because you're like, I have so many questions about the tiger. I'm told that's a bigger part of the book.
Big part of the book. So
the idea, the Esso tiger, which they don't clarify. Esso's mascot was a tiger.
Yes.
And I assume that is why when he bought an Esso station, he got a tiger.
Yes.
Yeah. And it involves a circus and the tiger eating a seal off of a derelict circus. And then in the big climactic, horrifying home invasion scene, the tiger is what stops the bad guys, not a gun in the book.
That makes sense. Chekhov's tiger.
I understand why it's not in the movie.
That would be insane. If in 1991, without CGI to aid her, Barbara Streisand executed a scene in which 3 sexual assailants were mauled.
Escaped from prison.
Who escaped from prison. Were mauled to death by a tiger, which must have been a combination of a man in a suit, a puppet, and animatronics.
Sounds pretty good.
Like that's what it would have been.
Like if that's in the movie, are we bumping it up a star?
I think
if there's a tiger attack sequence, and as you say, a dramatic tiger attack sequence,
extremely dramatic,
the darkest moment in the movie.
Yes,
the riskiest sort of part of the movie. It's like, let's add another layer of risk.
I think it would have took me out of the scene.
Wait a second.
Yeah,
sure?
a man in a tiger suit.
Even if they'd had like one guy mentioned before, like, and he had a tiger one time, I'm sure that won't come up again.
Yeah, I think it would be distracting.
Ben, you were saying you watched this movie this morning and it put you in your feelings. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. As someone who has therapy tomorrow, you know, and has been going to therapy for a long time now, I had some issues with the portrayal of the patient and therapist relationship.
What doesn't feel ethical about this relationship? Well, technically, he's not her
Your
patient.
therapist has never thrown a dictionary at you?
No, she's never
and then
made
taking
me
you to
bleed.
like fucking the finest French bistro,
and then made you raise her son.
No, she's never done that to me.
Your therapist never literally makes you play daddy?
No, she doesn't.
What do you know about football? You're like, nothing. And she's like, yeah, but you know, come on. You're a guy. You could coach my son.
Definitely
he's a
not.
football coach. Oh no, you're talking about Ben.
It's just the idea.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, a real reminder of how over time you start to really unpack your life with someone and how deep and heavy it can get. And that scene in particular is just really traumatic.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm sort of proud of the movie for not, because apparently the original draft that Pat Conroy wrote basically did not include that.
Yeah.
It's maybe just like a, recollection, maybe just talking, right?
Yeah.
I do think it's bold. Streisand was like, no. Like this is the big thing. This is the thing that's haunted this entire family. Like,
right.
It has to be depicted. It's intense.
And you can just tell this movie is built around a big thing. You know, this film is steering towards unpacking some trauma that he's been
hints.
Brushing off the whole time.
Right.
Something affected him.
Right. Like anytime anyone says like, hey, what about this word? And he's like, what are you talking about? I gotta go.
I hate words.
Hold on, I gotta grab something with my hands.
Do you remember the word?
What?
I forgot it.
Kellenwald.
That's the prison.
Yeah, that's
yes. So it's like someone says Azkaban. He's like, get out of here.
Yeah, basically.
I'm not afraid of Dementors.
Sirius Black.
The real trauma, though, is it's not just the event. It's that they can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Right.
That is so devastating.
It's the emotional repression. Right.
Yeah.
And he has some line of like, dad comes home, they're eating dinner. The silence was worse than what happened to him.
And
like
they've all
that
dealt with
crushes
it.
me.
Yeah.
They've all dealt with it in different ways of not dealing with it, right? They've all run away with it.
Let's just say it was the father is out. 3 men who escape from prison enter their house, sexually assault him, his mother, his sister. His brother comes with a shotgun, fights off 2 of them. Yes. His mother stabs the 3rd one.
He does nothing. Nolte's character does nothing.
Yes.
And feels guilt over
and
that.
he's like, I mean, in the movie, he's like 12, maybe.
Yeah,
I think in the book, he's a little bit older, but the self-blaming that, is not warranted.
Well, when he starts recounting, I know we're jumping way ahead in the plot, but we have to sort of talk around this.
Fine.
When he first starts recounting it, he recounts it as if he was just passively standing by and not doing anything to defend them.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he finally kind of admits that he was assaulted himself. But then, as you said, Ben, like in the wake of that, the mother's response is, okay, let's bury them in the backyard.
Yeah.
So part of the trauma is the kids have to bury these dead bodies.
Commit a crime, not call the police.
Never tell
and then
bury
never
bodies.
talk about this to anyone under any circumstances. We never talk about it with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Done. And it's just like suppress it. The movie is like dancing around a thing that big. And that first sequence in the therapy when he like tells the story and it's horrible, but they're not showing a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And she said like, why didn't you do anything? And he goes like, I don't know. And she goes like, that's a child's answer. And then they start cutting back and placing him in it. That's the moment where, as you said, David, I was like, I'm impressed that they're doing this. I'm impressed that this is part of the movie, that they are somehow towing a line of it not feeling too unbearably. I don't know. These things are always like, how do you put them on screen without them feeling sensitive and upsetting at the same time?
I felt like I saw more of that scene than I expected to,
Yes.
or want. It doesn't feel exploitative exactly, but it feels like it's like you could have stopped 3 more steps earlier in the process of watching this child be assaulted.
Yes, but it is more emotionally graphic than it is visually graphic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yes. But the point of this whole movie, let's just say, to go all the way back to the beginning, is that he's got this marriage clearly on the fritz with a woman he doesn't really know how to communicate with anymore.
Yes, he doesn't know how to communicate with anyone.
He's
struggling in the wake of his brother's death. He's lost his job. He's in a bad place in his life.
But like a guy who surface level is living in a Barbra Streisand movie, is beautifully lit. James Newton Howard score behind him. He's got a beautiful house on the beach.
Linen. He's running around with his 3 daughters.
Beautiful kids, beautiful wife.
Right. He's 6'12" and like as broad as a boat.
But real blonde.
But it's like all surface level charm.
Right. He's all like, you crazy kids. I'm doing great.
And the guy is truly charming. Like he pulls off
charming. Don't say specific words to me.
But he pulls off the charm here much better than he does in I'll Do Anything.
Well, I mean, poor guy.
Yeah.
He is so unbelievably charming in this
Yes.
movie, I think. It's Forky was won over.
Yeah.
She was like, people sexiest man alive, get out of here. But she was like, I cannot deny what a force of personality he is.
Well, what's incredible about this performance is that you're like, I like this guy a lot. He makes me feel comfortable. I enjoy him. I can tell he's hiding something.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of actors would overplay the trauma rather than having it pop out at moments, would have them feel burdened and shadowed the whole time in a way where it's like, no, this guy's good at suppressing it.
Yeah.
Well,
other than when he's
when he tells the story, and then for the first couple of minutes, he's like, I feel okay, actually. I'm going to walk around a lot. Like,
what were you going to say?
Well, the charm is part of the defense. Like he's making all of these jokes and being like light, and he talks about that being like the Southern way, where you make jokes about it and you don't talk about it.
Is that the Southern way?
I've pondered this myself
really
since thinking
that
of that.
hard, and I'm like,
I know. I wish I had the confidence of Pat Conroy to be like, this is what they do in the South and this is what they don't do in the South, because I cannot decide that for myself. But I think for this character and many people who I have known in real life, where it's you make jokes about it, you move on, you like hide it in plain sight. And then you get someone like Barbra Streisand to be like, actually, we're going to unpack this. And watching that crumble is part of what makes the performance so great. Like you have that balance in Nick Nolte.
He's very good. He was nominated for an Academy Award. His first out of just 2 noms. 3. What's the third?
This Affliction Warrior.
He did get the Affliction nom. I couldn't remember if it was just Coburn. Yeah. Coburn who out-gravelled him in that one.
Yeah.
I brought a 10-pound bag of gravel and Coburn brought a truck.
I would argue.
Yes.
I love Coburn.
Sure.
And I'm very happy he got a career win.
Yeah. That's what that was.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he is good in Affliction.
Yeah. I personally would have given supporting actor that year to Nolte in Thin Red Line.
He's so good in Thin Red Line. He is awesome in Thin Red Line.
And I think at that point in the 90s, it's like, well, Nolte's like entering his peak period.
We'll have plenty of
He's going to
shots of
keep
this.
stacking up the noms.
Yeah.
And then when he gets his warrior nom, that almost feels like a tip of the cap of like, you dug yourself out of the hole,
Right.
but we're not going to give you a fucking win for
Well, I
this.
would have given. He gets my win that year.
You should have won for
Who
warrior.
did he lose to for Warrior?
Who did he lose to? Probably some fucking asshole.
Was Warrior like 2008?
I'm
Something
seeing
like
here-
that?
2011, I think.
That's 11.
Lost to some fucking asshole for some piece of dog shit.
Coburn beats Harris, which is maybe a
Yes.
tough loss for Harris.
Jeffrey
'cause
Rush
Harris
and
probably-
Shakespeare in Love.
Great performance.
Who were the other two that year?
Well, Thornton and Simple Plan, who's incredible, but had just won an Oscar.
Yeah.
And Robert Duvall in A Civil Action, who's actually really, really good.
Duvall can't get away from him.
But that's a nom performance.
That's
I love that movie.
That's
as
a tip
a
of the cap.
fun movie. But yeah. Supporting actor
The
in The Warrior goes to Plumber for Beginners, which is another like Nolte. They're like, Nolte, you're a baby compared to this man. We have to get an Oscar in his hands. We're definitely not going to have another chance.
No, and we were talking about
He
it.
did. What do you mean? Plumber then went on to get like 8 more noms.
Oh God, you're right. He did.
Yeah.
But he already had the Oscar.
Yeah, I know, but Plumber actually had tons of runway, is what I'm saying.
He was about to enter his dominant 80s.
Yes.
No, it is weird how those things balance out. But yeah, Nolte's like now overdue.
Well, he's very overdue. I don't think. I just think it's he lost the Oscar to Anthony Hopkins.
Yes.
And Anthony Hopkins is in The Silence of the Lambs, and that's a movie I love.
Yes.
And it's a performance I think is quite iconic. I don't know if you would agree.
I think that performance is a little sticky.
Oh, it's sticky?
Yeah, I think
You
it's
think
stuck.
that the culture
Has some resonance
It's
these
had
days.
a little bit of resonance.
But like, Nolte won LAFCA, Los Angeles Critics, and he was the runner-up for New York and National. Like, he was, I think, he's winning in most years.
Yeah.
This is like a giant performance from a movie star.
Yeah.
He cries. I mean, it's laden with Oscar clips if you want to be like, craven about it. Or
No,
whatever.
I had how did he not win until I looked it up and it's like, oh, it's one of those years where you
tough.
don't stand a fucking chance.
But like, this is the first time I realized why people maybe were mad about Hopkins.
The supporting
as quote unquote
versus
a category
lead
fraud.
screen time thing. Yeah.
Which I don't think it is, but I just,
that argument only comes into play.
It's a spread the wealth thing at a certain point, right?
Yeah.
I love that Nolte and De Niro are nominated in the same category for the Cape Fear reunion.
That's
but
the
for two
other
different
thing.
movies.
Like Nolte's also running with the heat of Cape Fear on this nomination, which he's very good in Cape Fear.
He is. He's very good in Cape Fear.
Yeah.
There's a showier performance in them.
Are we going to talk about Oscars now, or do you want to talk about
Let's
more
go
of the
back to
movie
the movie.
first?
Go back to the movie.
All right. So
Gets a phone call.
He gets a phone call. Your sister tried to kill herself again, not just
Or
once.
rather, the mother's the one.
Yeah, she shows
mom
up.
comes.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
Mom,
she
what are
shows
you
up.
doing here? Oh, God, she's coming. I got to
She
get
shows
out
up
of
in
here.
her,
No one
like,
say that word.
Old Southern lady jacket and pearls. She looks just like my grandmother did in 1991. So A+.
And
This
she's
is
definitely a, like, no
basically-
feelings allowed mom,
Yes.
right? Like, it's,
The physical transformation is like 10% greater than the quick change they would do backstage in a Broadway show. In a way, I think it's like kind of important for like Streisand being like, this is the tone of this movie. This is the pitch of this film.
Yeah.
And she's like, look, your sister once again has attempted suicide. Sort of crucial that it's like, this has happened before.
Yes.
So that feels
And this
like
is your problem to deal with.
a huge emergency, obviously. So he has to go to New York City to stay in her beautiful apartment in Soho.
Right.
Steps from the Atlantic office where I work.
Of course, you know exactly
They
where
hit
that is.
that shot. I mean, because it's Barbara, so I assume she doesn't even need permits. She just walks on the streets of New York, so people give traffic stops.
Yes.
Holds
And
up a Grammy just to get everyone to stop.
And it's Prince and Thompson, and I'm like, shit, this is a block from my office. I wonder, and I look, everything is different now except for Emino Deli, which are a million shots outside, which is still there. God bless Emino Deli.
Wow.
They have a great egg and cheese.
Hey.
Everything else is different.
The street shots are amazing because there's a kid on a skateboard in the background of every single shot on the sidewalk in New York City.
1991, baby.
There's the one crane shot with the fire hydrant and the kids playing in it.
This is a crane shot in Grand Central. I'm like, who let her bring a crane into Grand Central?
Barbara.
There's also
like, beep, beep.
when he first gets out of the taxi, he's in a traffic jam, and there's this lady going, "I got a doctor's appointment." I'm like, "Yes, we're in New York."
We are in New York, and of course, his sister lives in every New York sitcom. Her neighbor is George Carlin, is her swishy, gay, friendly neighbor.
We all
He's always
have
popping
one.
by to steal some sugar or whatever.
He's good in this.
He
right?
is. I mean, it's
love him in this.
Like he showed up and I went like, is this gonna not look.
This is gonna feel a little like, right. But no,
he
good.
Plays this very
He's
well.
got such a wonderful face.
Yes.
And he really feels like someone who's a little sad, but also like really funny and really clever, and like, you know what I mean? Like, and he just kind of has the right feel.
It's weird how well the sort of like George Carlin, like bleeding heart cynicism.
Right.
Right.
Of just like, I hate the fucking
when,
way the
when
world
he's
is
on
structured.
stage, advertising is lying to you.
Right.
And then when it's like, hey, George, you want to play a role in like a fictional thing? It's like, okay, can I be the conductor for a fictional train, maybe? With a face on it?
But like weirdly, his onstage energy, which is damped down in this, right?
Definitely.
Transmutes bizarrely well to someone who survived the AIDS crisis.
Yeah.
This feeling of like, I think like the New York artsy gay community survivor who's had to like use humor as a defense mechanism to survive.
When he walks into the apartment, he's really nice to Nolte, to Wingo, Tom.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, your sister. And it's like, you're like, oh, this isn't some afterthought to him. He cares about her too, but he's very used to darkness.
Yes.
Well, and his relationship
George
with
Carlin, Oscar nom?
I mean,
go ahead.
The first scene, I was like, how did he not? And then he's not in a ton of it.
Yeah. But like Nolte's relationship with him, because he goes on to be like, I'm a Southerner, I scratch my armpits and eat berries. But like him immediately.
It's about the bare necessities.
His relationship with Carlin's character, you're just like, oh, this guy's like, I guess you're like, oh, is he going to be homophobic? And like, it just kind of gets rid of that really quickly where he's like, yeah, he can get along with everybody, including this lovely neighbor.
He's got a cosmopolitan streak in him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes it. He likes going to Manhattan.
He likes it.
He likes to bitch about it, but he likes it. Love to see him on the C train, just having fun.
Taking up so much space.
What are you doing, buddy? Yeah, right. He sits in one of the two-seaters and somehow fills it.
To Euclid. Fucking bullshit. Who's conducting this train? My fucking mother.
So he goes to see Dr. Susan Lowenstein, who lives in a mahogany fortress.
Yes.
Somewhere on fucking Park Avenue or whatever.
A wood prison.
With the coffee bar that pops out of the wall, like the classiest thing I've ever seen.
It's a lovely office.
It looks like she just has a like acre like lawn and like out her window.
Yeah, she's got like a balcony.
Where is she?
Throw a wedding on.
City?
Yes.
She's in Central Park.
Yeah,
somehow.
that's what I was gonna say.
And she charges. I googled the info. She charges $3.75 an hour. It's not like she's not even like charging adjusted for inflation like $1,000 an hour.
It's a lot of money, but you're saying there are far more.
You hear about
outrageous.
therapists these days who charge $3.75 an hour. It's not like
maybe that's her daily rate in the sense that she's seeing him every single day.
Well,
whereas like once a week, maybe she charges a little more.
They're also doing 18-hour sessions. She's billing him for.
And then she comes to football practice too. She bills for that.
Right, she must have a sliding scale because like, Tom's sister, Savannah, she's a poet who lives in like a Soho one bedroom. Like, I mean, in 1991, like I can't imagine she's flush, right? Like it's sort of surprising that she's seizing.
Nolte comes in, sees the
Lowenstein actually says like I got assigned to her or something, right? Like I took up this relatively recently.
Yeah,
there's some sort of contrivance like that to explain why she wouldn't know much.
But Nolte sees her husband walking out, not knowing it's her husband, and goes like,
"Oh, shrink to the stars."
Like has this attitude of her being this sort of fancy luxury kind of. Yeah.
I'm sure she should see some fancy clients.
Yeah.
In an office like that, you got it.
Who was fancy in 1991?
This is the thing I want to dig into a little bit, okay? Because like the reframing of this being, taking this book and turning it so much into the Lowenstein love story, a movie that ends with him repeating her name over and over again.
Yes, which The Simpsons parodied. And when I was a kid, I was like, well, this is a parody. And then you watch the movie and you're like, oh no, they just did the movie.
They just did the thing. Yeah. Much like Angela Bassett, they just did the thing.
They just did. Yeah.
Simpsons also had the iconic Cape Fear parody. They really had the 1991 Oscars locked down.
Right.
Yeah. Well, because Nolte was on the writing staff that year.
I got an idea.
Yeah. Gamble, Pross,
He actually
Nolte.
just kept leaving scripts around by mistake. He was pitching other stuff. Homer should go to space. Which he did.
Barney buys a snowplow. He's the plow king.
The thing.
What's your point about Lowenstein?
Well, okay, so it's like there's the view of like she heard there was a book with a beautiful Jewish woman in it and said, I must adapt this and she must become the co-lead, right?
Although she's very much the secondary lead.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other way of thinking about this is like, does this movie really is this a more normalizing view of therapy than is happening in any other like kind of big budget Hollywood film?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Especially for a movie that is about like a tough man.
Yeah.
That allows him to like break down and be sensitive in a way.
It's not as sensitive as say and analyze this, which is of course the apex of sensitivity.
That comes later.
Yeah,
but that comes later.
The Sopranos comes later.
No, I was joking about analyze this. I'm trying to think. It's a good point. I assume the 80s is where you start to see talk therapy more regularly beyond like a Woody Allen-y kind of.
Well, this is what I'm saying. When you move it outside of like the neurotics, right? And it happening in like a comedic sphere, right?
Yeah.
Or it happening with people who are just like movies about mental illness.
Ordinary People is a pretty crucial therapy
Yeah,
movie.
okay.
No,
that's 10 years earlier.
Huge.
Which sort of has a similar tone to this of like, let's talk.
But I think that's also a movie that's like
in a room.
Right. I think that's a movie where it's like, this is a problem movie. This is about like the trauma is on the surface from the beginning of that movie, whereas this is like, you have to break this guy down.
And it's about a kid as opposed to like big, strong, brawny football playing adult.
Ben, what do you want to say?
What's with the laying down stuff?
Oh, you mean like in a
Like that
classic, like
stereotype?
Freudian, like lay on this couch?
Because they reference it in this movie. You've seen it a million times. It's such a trope. I've never once ever laid down in therapy.
Can't imagine.
I couldn't imagine doing it. It'd be so weird.
The classic thing was that you didn't even look at your psychiatrist.
The thing.
Yeah.
Your psychiatrist was sitting next to you, but you couldn't see them because you're staring into space.
That's the logic
and your
behind
psychiatrist
it, is that
taking
people
notes.
are like, I'd rather just stare at the ceiling because I'll feel more comfortable rather than admitting the stuff while staring someone in the eyes. But to me, that's the harder thing to process.
Well, but I think it's also some people are like, you cannot project onto me. We are not going to have a relationship that's like friends.
We're not going to have an ordinary people moment.
Right. It's going to be the more cold, like analytical, like you will pour your psyche out to me and I will then be like, my analysis is you don't like your mother. That'll be $1 million. To do an 80s joke about therapy.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is what is the answer in Prince of Tides, though. He doesn't like his mother.
Ordinary people is obviously huge.
I think mom or dad, it's one or the other.
I think the difference though is that yes, it's like it's a kid, it's someone who's new to movies. You're not like playing with someone's established movie star persona in the same way, right? It's like a more smaller, intimate, quieter film, even though it was obviously a big deal.
Yeah.
But it's also like it's foregrounding the problem. Whereas this movie does the sideways thing of like, his sister's got problems. Here's this guy who seems so charming and put together. He's going to talk to a therapist. I'm not a patient. Right? I'm just here to talk about my sister.
It's never official. It's all, I'm here to help. Right. Yes.
It sort of like tricks you, the audience, into seeing like, oh, maybe people who think they don't need therapy could benefit from therapy.
But it's also tricking Lowenstein within the movie to be more personal with him and open up with him and maybe, beat him with a dictionary if he's being annoying.
Yeah. And, sleep with him when the moment's right.
Sleep with him, upstate, maybe a picnicky kind of sex thing.
Some good pink sweatsuits involved.
I think it's a key men having feelings movie.
Yeah.
No,
and 100%. I just think there's something so radical about having Nick Nolte go through this.
Yeah.
Which she knows, which is what she's doing.
I mean, to the point that it's almost cliched now. Like where you're like, the big strong man can have feelings too. But at the time, I'm sure it felt pretty radical.
Like this happens so Good Will Hunting can happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a better movie than
that's
Good
a great
Will Hunting.
example.
Is that controversial?
Ooh, interesting.
I'm not a huge fan of Good Will Hunting.
I like Good Will Hunting a lot.
I mean, I like
Good Will Hunting.
I look Good Will Hunting as a big old ball of cheese for me to have a great time snacking on. I just have never thought that it's like a profound movie.
No, but I think it's like kind of excellent.
It's like great
old school Hollywood.
Exactly. Right. But it's like,
even though it was made
you
in
can tell he's
Penelope.
a genius because he writes math on the wall.
I just want Robin Williams' character to be my friend.
Yeah.
He's very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
I think about that
You
performance
found Robin
a lot.
Williams likable on screen?
I got to see About a Girl, David. And I'm going to leave the episode.
It also has like 18 lines like that, which I
That's
like.
my thing. I mean, I'm like, that's a movie where if you describe it, it sounds so bonkers.
Oh,
and when I watch it, I totally fall under its spell and I don't question it. I know it's become sort of more acceptable to go like, fucking Good Will Hunting. I never liked it.
Yeah, I think it was kind of acceptable at the time. And then everyone who loved it when it came out sort of got older and was like, no, we love Good Will Hunting. And now maybe.
And the Ben and Matt, like they've gone up and down so many times.
Really?
What were you about to say about it, Katie?
What was I about to say about it? Oh, when you hear about what the original script was, where you're just like, Jesus, why is this a good movie? Like, how did they manage to pull something out from what Ben and Matt originally wrote?
Right.
Do you know that?
No.
That their movie was about and then the CIA recruits him.
There was like a whole fourth act that was like an act because they thought like
that
it
was
needed to have a spy thriller.
Oh, that's
and they showed it
so
to people
dumb.
and they were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Just have the kids stay in therapy.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how that actually turned into such a good movie.
I think Gus Van Sant kind of comes in and is like, let's steer
that's
this
why
in another
people
direction.
thought that, they got help or whatever, William Goldman. But
that's what Goldman said. Goldman said, I didn't rewrite it. I just told them fucking drop all that shit.
right. Yeah.
But like Prince of Tides, I watch and I never stop thinking about how bonkers it is.
Yeah.
Woo! Pretty crazy.
There's so much in the soup in Prince of Tides, whereas like Good Will Hunting, for all its flaws, you're like, it's getting you from A to B. And
right.
Prince of Tides is a lot to
I fall under the spell. What?
Apples.
And how do you like them?
On a plate, sliced.
Oh, wow.
In a salad?
Fancy Sims over here slicing up his apples.
I do like to cut up an apple, but you know why? It's not fanciness. I just like to sort of dole out the apple, be like, ooh, another little slice.
I like to feel it in my hand. Crunch.
Okay. But you slice them for your daughter too? Like,
I do slice them with my daughter. Apple.
Yeah, when I'm slicing apples for kids, it's like, oh, fine, I get some too.
Well, that's true. Yeah. And also, I slice the skins off and then I just eat the skins. Because she doesn't want the skin.
You eat the skins?
Well, yeah.
Come on. We're learning a lot in our session here today, David.
Oh. I would
David, do you want to lay down and we want to dig into that a little bit more?
Lay down.
One Sims, three Lowensteins.
Can I lay down and maybe like close my eyes and have a blanket over me and like maybe the room's really dark and I sort of fall asleep?
Oh, you just want to take a nap?
Just if I do talk therapy, but then I'm just like, yeah, I got plenty to say. 1 second. After 45 minutes, she's like, all right, well, you gotta go. You slept.
So they start doing these non-sessions.
Yeah. They fight. He's like, Lowen, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
She's married to a concert violinist who's not very nice to her.
Right.
Is he based on somebody? Is there someone I should know that like I would recognize a famous violinist walking out of someone's office?
No, but I think it's more that in 1991, there were still various famous classical musicians. Right. There's not a lot of them anymore.
All I can think of is like Pavarotti, maybe.
No, but you're like, is he famous. Like the Yo-Yo Ma of violin?
Okay.
Yeah. Is he like the Baryshnikov of violin or something?
Yeah.
Like Itzhak Perlman, right?
I mean, I recognize Yitzhak Perlman if I saw him.
Sure, he'd probably have a fucking violin under his chin.
But your early 90s, there were still like caviar celebrities.
The idea that Nolte knows who he is not implausible to me in 1991.
Right.
It would feel like more of a stretch now, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he's like, you ain't dating this guy. Oh, yeah. I know him.
It's again a way to make him seem like a, special educated person, even though he's got this like hick upbringing.
Yeah. But I'm sure how the things stack.
Don't try. Just explore the various strands.
With the tide?
But I don't think you can't lay this out really easily. I mean, the various plots are him and Lowenstein exploring his trauma. Helping his sister, and then they fuck. Like it's very like 1, 2, 3. Like they do not get together until the last act.
Until the very, very well. There's the Renata Halpern segment of it, which is very strange.
I don't care for that.
They like reveal she's written these books under a pseudonym, and he's like, and he's horrified. He can't believe this would ever happen. And
some act of disassociation, perhaps.
Yeah, it's just a weird like. You think they've cracked the code, but like it doesn't really matter.
He's just upset that she might have revealed their dark secret. I think that's really what that is.
Because the children's book he finds is like kind of inspired by the dark secret.
Is that a bigger part of the book?
Kind of, but at the whole time it's happening, you're like, why are we going? It's another way for the book to kind of be like, we're building up to a thing. And in the movie, Nolte's performance gets you so much of that, which actually works really well.
Right. You don't need it kind of seated.
Yeah.
And you also, there's that's like, she's like, your sister wrote something about like 3 black dogs. And I was like, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about something else.
I hate the number 3.
Did you see JFK? You think Stone's a crackpot? He's just like changing the subject.
Beauty and the Beast. I see it's the beginning of a Disney Renaissance. A golden age for the studio.
Can LA Law keep its streak up at the Emmys? I'm trying to think of 1991. Go ahead. Sorry.
There's a neat filmmaking thing that she does with the flashbacks because like so much of him being like, well, then there was this time that my dad ate dog food, and then there was this time when then the rich man hit me in the face, and my mom married him, and they link it. She links it to things that are happening in the present with him cooking food or with him going to his kid's birthday party that I think works really nicely because all those flashbacks would feel really disjointed unless she found that filmmaking way around it.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
The dog food scene is pretty wild.
It's pretty wild. That's direct.
It's wild to just like toss that in as a scene. But I guess that's the magic of the Prince of Tides.
Yeah, the dad complains that the food sucks, so she goes in.
What's the dish that she made? I could
hash and rice, like barbecue, like shredded pork and rice, basically. Okay. So you can.
That sounds great.
I know it would be good if it were dog food. Maybe it would be good with dog food. I don't know.
I think that dog food looks good. Is that insane?
She puts Worcestershire. She puts onions
sauteing it.
I'm just like, I'm kind of hungry.
The flashbacks are few and far between. It's dog food. It's really the assault and then the rich guy. Is there anything else?
Is that the order?
Major?
Really?
Yeah, the rich guy's late. But
he goes. So the rich guy leads to him then reuniting with his mother in the present day. You have Kate Nelligan back in the makeup, where there's the giant oil painting of her that's now in the house. When he's reunited
with her, he is now told the story
or he's telling her he's gonna tell the story. I think.
Yes, that's him. And then the next session,
telling the story. Right. You're building up to that point for sure.
There's the Kate Nelligan flashback where she tells him that he's her favorite son.
Yes.
And then the reveal is that she said that same thing to all of the kids.
The kid in that flashback has such a like...
That's good parenting.
He has such an early 90s haircut in that scene. He has like really spiky in the front. It's like, Barbara, why'd you let that one go by?
He looks like one of Tim the Toolman Taylor's kids.
I was going to say
he's got a home improvement haircut.
But I thought that her return scene in that fancy house I thought was pretty good.
It is good. It's just, it's so like Griffin's saying, like stagey theatery, like mom with no feelings who's like, well, drink your tea. I don't want to talk about any of that, And her husband just being like, yeah, we make money here in the money factory. I don't know who makes it or where it goes, and I don't care to know.
We got a long history of money making.
Fame, like no offense to the South, but the thing in the South where they're like, we have a long tradition. I'm like, you don't have any fucking long tradition. You've been here like 100 years, you cunts.
All right, England.
David, that's what I'm saying. You came over from England like, we've always done this. I'm like, you've done this for like 5 minutes. Fucking built one big house, you idiots.
I've never seen anyone serve iced tea out of that big like silver pot that she's serving out
like
of.
A hat on a hat.
That's
like what's the richest vessel that sweet tea?
I'm trying to think of like rich
whatever.
People I've seen with tea. I still don't think they've done that.
We here in this family, we have a long tradition of minting NFTs. Been doing it for a long
this
time.
Crypto mine's been running since 2019. And then so you have some side plots.
Mm-hmm.
Which are, well, mostly it's Jason Gould.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Who is a surly only child of the Lowenstein.
So I'm coming to this and I'm putting knowledge and context on this, right?
Yes.
Knowing that
Jason Gould was forcibly outed, I think, by a newspaper or tabloids.
Yes.
In 1991.
Oh, wow.
When this film came out.
And knowing that was a big deal, right? And I'm watching these scenes of him being like, please teach me how to play football, right? And I am projecting.
Initially, he's like, I don't care. I don't want to learn. Right. But then,
that attitude, right? I'm projecting onto this a childhood of many older men trying to teach me to play sports so I would be picked on less.
Right. And then instead you're like, well, but this guy's dad was fucking Elliot Gould.
Right.
Yeah. But okay, go ahead.
No, I'm saying my childhood.
Oh, your childhood.
Like the scenes where I'm watching Jason Gould and Nick Nolte run football, I'm like, this reminds me of most of my childhood of people just trying to teach me how to catch a ball. So I would get picked on less. Me being like, I don't care. I want to move to the point in my life where I don't have to do this anymore.
Right.
And knowing that he is gay, I was just like, this feels like some weird thing of like the mom hiring a tough man to toughen up her son. And then this is me obviously putting my own shit on it. And then like the reveal that it is, he is a good violinist. His parents want him to be a sophisticated artist, or his dad does at least.
It's just really funny because this is the reverse plot.
Exactly.
Usually it's like, I wish I could go to Tanglewood. My true, passion is the arts. And the dad's like, no, son, you're a tight end, okay?
That's
you're going
what
back to Old Miss with me. Yeah, right.
That I just came to it being like, this is like an imposition.
It's just so funny that this
and he's like, my
Jerome Crab
secret
being like, no, he's off to Tangle. It's off to Tanglewood.
Don't tell my dad, but I want to be tough.
right.
Is what this plot line is.
Nolte seems like a great football coach.
Unbelievable.
I mean, if he was barking at me, I
just
would
knocking the kid down in the park every day.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of like the big catharsis of this movie is him being like, you should coach again.
Yes. And
you'll be happy if you coach again.
He's teaching literature.
Yeah.
But he's throughout this movie, he's a good parent.
Yes.
Like in that kind of way of like, he's clearly permissive and he has this kind of like, kids are kids. Like they're going to want to do
fun
things.
dad and she has to do bath time. Like
she has to be the cop. That's for sure. But still, like when Gould is giving him guff, he doesn't take it personally. He knows this is a teenager. He can tell. He fucking one look at him. He's clearly 15 years old. And like 15. He's just like, that's okay. That's what kids are supposed to do. That's what teenagers are supposed to do. And you're like, he's clearly not sublimated his trauma into like bad parenting. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like he's a very accepting parent.
And he really wants to not be like his dad.
Right.
Yeah. Which
and
he's succeeding to. I mean, there's the scene on the boat.
It's really good where
Yeah.
he's trying to connect with his dad, and his dad's like, "Look, the Braves beat the Dodgers or whatever."
Well, he says
He's like,
the
"I know,
girls
Dad."
love their granddad,
right?
And his response is, "Braves beat the Dodgers."
Which
like,
good for them,
right?
We do have to.
Even now, having
we have no choice but to stand the Braves.
Even now, having grandchildren who like
called the Braves.
They are.
They are.
It's the most embarrassing team in baseball.
Huh.
Go ahead.
No, like even now that he's like, it feels like his demons have settled a bit. And the granddaughters love him unconditionally, and he doesn't have the weight of actually being a parent. He still can't engage with them.
Yeah.
That's Brad Sullivan, by the way, who is like, he's like the goon in Slapshot.
Yes.
He's a gangster in The Sting. He's a mobster in The Untouchables. He's great face.
Yes.
Great playing like a nasty guy.
Yeah.
But that's another thing that feels like with the focus on the romance. Like the dad is not really present in the movie at all.
No.
He's a big jerk.
Yeah.
Who is not seen until this fancy party near the end. Nolte puts on his seersucker suit or whatever.
Oh, I meant Tom's dad, but yes, both him and Bernard
Tom's
Woodruff.
dad.
Yeah.
Sure. But Woodruff, the Jerome Krabby.
Yeah.
Krabby?
No, but not knowing what the trauma was at the center of the story, I was like, it's got to be something with the dad.
Yeah, right.
They're holding the dad back for the big thing.
You're right. You assume it's going to be like, you don't understand. My dad was actually like, abusing the family. And instead it's like, no, he was actually not even part of this.
He didn't know.
Situation.
He never knew.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So do people have dinner parties like this in New York, or did they in 1991?
I throw one of these.
I mean, look, I lived in New York for a long time.
I always have a $2 million Stradivarius.
I kept waiting for someone to invite me to one of these parties, and I never did, and I don't know what I did
You
wrong.
always have to invite your mistress.
That's true. And have her play the piano wearing like the tightest dress possible.
I don't insist on inviting my mistress, but someone has to invite a mistress.
Yes.
I just need there to be tension.
Yes.
Right? You just need there to be, the potentials.
Right.
Like,
and don't ignore the wife. In fact, note her. Call her out.
Across a very long table, like the longest table you can find.
He brings his mistress.
Uh-huh.
And, Streisand is bringing Nolte, I think, kind of as a sort of like, a reverse card in Uno.
Yeah, because she reveals to him at that party, he's like, yeah, I think he's fucking the piano player.
You didn't like that, Ben?
No, I loved it.
Yeah, great. All my metaphors now will be Uno related.
Really good.
And Nolte, they're not together yet.
Right. Because Nolte reveals to Lowenstein, I'm mixing character and real actor names, but he reveals to her that Blythe Danner's having an affair before she reveals that she's married to...
Before she reveals that she's married, and then she only later reveals that she is suspicious.
So he thinks there's a flirtation going on, then finds out she's married, then finds out who it is, then gets invited to this party.
And then Lowenstein is finally like, he's fucking the pianist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And you see her, there's a shot of her beforehand where she's like looking, like gazing at the husband, and you're like, why are we looking at her? And you're like, aha, Barbara knows.
And then finally, yes, there's the possum breath cocksucker scene. But finally, 2 hours in, maybe an hour 50.
Yeah.
It's deep into the film.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They consummate their affair.
Yeah.
And I think I realized later, it's 2 months of time passes.
Yeah, it's like a summer.
This isn't like a hot weekend.
One 15-minute montage.
Right. Of them going upstate to her other perfect house.
A 2-month lost weekend.
Right. Where he's clearly maybe I just stay here. My sister's feeling better.
Right.
She's back in her house. but maybe I
There's
just,
the scene where he's gone back for his daughter's birthdays, where he's sort of like testing out the structure.
He's sleeping on the couch.
Right.
But, obviously, the whole time Forky and I are like, he's going to go back because he has the kids. If he didn't have the kids, like maybe, who knows?
And she's saying, what's his name? Cleveland wants to marry her.
Is his name Cleveland? Really?
Is his name Cleveland? Am I wrong about this?
I think you might be right.
He's got some stupid name. He's
Don Cleveland.
God damn it. That's a city in Ohio. Not a guy who comes me.
But she's like, he wants to marry me. What do you think?
Why are you asking me this question?
But don't you agree? You're like, there's no way he's leaving the kids.
I thought I didn't know.
He was going to end up with Loie?
I kind of did.
Wow.
I felt
Forky was like, and this is actually fun. She was like, he's the Prince of Tides. That he's going back.
There are tides in New York, David. We established this.
I know that, but she was like, he's tide washed on it, but he's
low tide
tiding back. And I was like, you're
see.
probably right. I mean, again, if it was just Danner, I feel like we just get a call like, hey, hurricane blew her away.
Yeah.
And he's like, great. Okay. Come on, Babs. Let's go to the rainbow room.
The reason I thought he might stay there is because Danner's the one pushing him away. It's not like, he's choosing to abandon his kids.
But then, of course, the other thing is obviously she has, Lowenstein has helped him learn how to talk about himself.
Yes.
That is clearly the big impediment in his marriage, we're told.
Yeah.
So now he can go back and they can have a perfect marriage.
She taught him how to be a better man.
Yeah. And he can see his 3 cute kids.
Yeah.
And in the book, he doesn't do that trip back. Like that, the Blythe Danner character is like absent for the most of the book. So like it kind of tips the hand in the movie where you're like, oh, okay, I see these cute kids. I see their house.
Yeah. In the book, does he say like, he had a nice wife. She had kind of a Gwyneth Paltrow's mom vibe.
She's from a Milltown in South Carolina in the book. I mean, again, I feel like Blythe Danner is really like jetting in from another planet compared to that. Well, she's beautiful.
No, very beautiful.
So good with these kids. And on the Criterion disc, there's like a lot of rehearsal footage of him with the kids because she just worked a lot on like they have to be comfortable.
It's all like him throwing them around. It's like they're always wrestling.
It's just so funny to imagine James L. Brooks watching this and being like, yes, you could build an entire movie out of Nick Nolte exclusively talking.
Those kids have the best Southern accents in the movie. I assume they're just like local Charleston kids.
Yes. The audition tapes are really funny too because it's like Streisand interviewing them and mostly just like asking questions about their life. And Streisand's just like when she's trying to relate to them and these kids obviously don't know who she is and they're like some of the only instances you imagine where she's able to communicate with someone who's not like too enamored with her or intimidated by her.
But she also has like no modern references because she's lived in a like palace for 15 years.
What's interesting is like she's talking to these kids like you hear her revert back to like Brooklyn Girl.
Yeah.
Sure.
Where she's like, so what do you do? What do you do when you go to the corner?
Right.
What do you eat for lunch?
You playing stickball?
Yeah.
Oh, Barbara Streisand. I wish I could have played stickball with Barbara Streisand. And
She'd probably kick your ass.
You think she plays pickleball?
Now? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite chili cart in New York City? Where do you go to get your chili?
Yeah, where do you get a dog?
What street do you go to get a bowl of chili?
They are bowls of chili. They're not hot dogs. They're actual bowls of chili that they get from that
bowl
cart.
of chili, right?
I've never seen that before in my life.
No, I don't think that's a thing.
I mean, it may have been more of it. There was... I was also a little baffled, especially because I was drinking in the Soho Verisimillion. I was loving it.
Yeah.
And then so he's like, this is the worst chili. And I'm like, well, why'd you get chili?
Yeah.
It's fucking a hot dog. It's weird.
It's very weird.
It looked bad.
Yes.
Wait, speaking of the Soho verisimilitude, though, the party that George Carlin has at his apartment is so delightful with all of those like boho people.
She shows up too wearing white on white on white.
Yes.
White pantyhose.
I would not personally go to a downtown party in like the early 90s.
In a skirt
dressed like
suit?
fucking Moon Knight.
All right.
Thank you.
I would give you 10 comedy points, but the points changed midway through me flipping.
They morphed.
They've turned into an Egyptian coin.
Oh, no.
I can't believe I watched every episode of Moon Knight.
I can't believe Moon Knight came up in this episode. The moon makes the tides go.
Yeah.
That just made this a 5-star episode, that joke.
The Prince of Tides and the Knight of Moons.
Man.
The team.
So Lowenstein is very obviously crucial to this last part, this affair sequence and the upstate and all that. But I do feel like she, at a certain point, she's kind of coming off as, maybe, I'm just kind of like, Loie, you're not going to win in this, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're falling for a guy who's probably going to get tided away. I'm feeling for her.
Well, this is the other thing. When you go back to
she's real sad when he goes.
The Streisand tourist thing, right? Her 3 leading men in the films that she directed, if we count Stars Born into this.
I was talking about this before.
Chris Christopherson.
Well, then we do 4.
Do Mandy Patinkin?
That's what I'm starting with. Chris Christopherson.
Throw Bridges in though. You said 3. Let's do 4. Yeah. Start with Chris.
No, I'm doing all 4.
Yeah, you said 3.
Chris Christopherson.
Yes.
I'm saying the 3 she directed.
Yes,
I'm folding Stars Born in.
So Chris.
Got it. Okay.
Chris Christopherson, Mandy Patinkin, Nick Nolte, Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges is like a petite and lithe man compared to those 3 fire trucks, but they're all solid.
And they
a
are
lot of chest hair in that group.
4 guys arguably at their physical peak.
Sure.
Who were just like astonishingly good looking.
Right. Patinkin obviously never left his physical peak, but yes. No, they're really good looking, but they're
different types.
Men.
They're different
types.
types.
Like real kind of like.
Right. They're not all the same.
Yeah, but like they're the kind of guy you rest your head on.
Yes.
And you sleep on top of that big old chest.
Sit in his lap in a chair with your leg warmers on by the fire.
Yeah, normal.
But all 4 of those movies have a lot of the Barbara, and could you believe they found me beautiful thing, right?
Yeah, sure.
Where there's this point in this section of the movie where it feels it shifts a little bit to like this sort of fairy tale.
Yes.
Like she's unlocked his trauma and now he's just perfect.
She's also...
And the reward is, what a dream that this man fell for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Her emotional aspect comes in way more in that part of it.
Right.
It's like been basically absent before that.
Breaking her rules as well, obviously opening up to him.
Right.
And, she's supposed to be...
But she's gifted the kind of unconditional love she does not get from her husband. The attention, the ear, the compassion, the passion, all of that,
Absolutely. It's a big upgrade.
Yeah.
But it's doomed. The tides call him away.
Yes.
They have one last... $35,000 evening at the Rainbow Room. Like they rent out the whole Rainbow Room.
And there's a full band there, or at least like a good number of musicians.
Room, even to get like a coffee. Like, come on.
It's a wild goodbye.
Have you been to the Rainbow Room?
No.
Lauren never took you?
Lauren never took me.
I don't know.
I went up there once.
Out there. Yeah.
They did like a junket or some like lunch or something, like a Peggy Siegel thing way back in the day. And they call it the Rainbow Room because they have these like prisms up hanging.
Why hasn't Streisand done a Peggy Siegel biopic?
Holy
Go ahead.
Shit.
Peggy Siegel, notorious Oscar publicist.
Is Cirque the restaurant in LA?
Well, sure. That's a restaurant.
Is that what I'm
in
thinking
LA.
of?
Le Cirque?
Cirque here too.
I mean, there is.
Oh no! I'm sorry.
There's one in Vegas. There's one.
I'm sorry. It's the fucking Ivy.
Well, sure. The Ivy.
Oh, sure.
Right.
The Ivy is where Lorne Michaels takes everyone in LA for dinner. And when we were doing the Mulaney pilot, I'll tell the story very quickly. When we were doing the Mulaney pilot, he took the whole cast out to dinner. And I was just like, this is wild. I'm at like a dinner with Lorne Michaels and Elliot Gould and Martin Short and everyone at the Ivy. This feels like Hollywood or whatever. And I like didn't think about it at all for like 10 years, right? And then another friend of mine met Lorne Michaels and said like, and I think my friend Griffin, he was on the Mulaney pilot. And Lorne Michaels' first comment was apparently, he ordered French toast for dinner. I took him to dinner at the Ivy.
That is pretty
and he ordered French toast for dinner. And I have no memory of this.
But it's believable.
It tracks, but it's weird because it doesn't. I could see it happening, but I don't feel like I would often make that choice.
But it does feel like something that would ping for Lorne.
Ping for Lorne. That's his entire association with me for the rest of time.
Strategically, though, you made quite an impression.
That's true.
It's a power move in that sense. That is very true.
Do you think it was on the menu, or are you like, I know it's not here, but do you guys have French toast?
I bet you were like,
if you ordered a French toast off menu,
I think he did. I think he said, "Well, do you still do the breakfast stuff?"
I'm not an all-day breakfast guy. I usually like breakfast in the morning. It's not like that's my thing.
It is literally impossible that there is French toast on a dinner menu.
Okay, well, they
impossible.
have French toast on their breakfast menu.
Okay.
Of course.
It's $31 and it comes with a fig apricot.
Well, Lauren was picking up the bill. I wasn't looking at the fucking price.
Fig apricot French toast with pecan. Fig apricot with pecan brioche French toast.
What's a fig apricot? Or like jelly?
Probably. I don't fucking know.
A weird hybrid fruit?
There's also a really famous restaurant called the Ivy in London.
Okay.
That's also a celebrity haunt, not related to the LA. It's like exists for 100 years. And when I was a teenager once, I walked up to it and I asked the bouncer if they did takeout, and he said, "Fuck off!"
Wow.
Like Brian Cox was right there.
It was Logan Roy.
It was one of my few examples of being what the British would call a cheeky bugger.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, Prince of Tides. What are
Can
we
you just
missing
confirm
here?
the dinner menu, please?
It's not on the dinner menu.
Thank you.
It's not.
I mean, you're saying it tracks. It tracks in the sense that I would do something like that.
Not just that, but Griffin, we're talking about how many years ago at this point?
10.
So, I would say your tastes have somewhat matured since then.
Sure.
I think 10 years ago,
Thank
Griffin might be a little more like, is this dipped in syrup? Although you could handle yourself at an Ivy in, what are we talking, 2012 or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was exactly 10 years ago. I just think
the
it's
syrup
so
must
funny.
have been icy cold because it was in the refrigerator because breakfast service had been done.
It was
for
late.
hours.
It was like late. It was a late dinner.
Oh, but if like late night menu
Maybe it's
breakfast,
anything
that
else.
makes if
Not
you're
that
eating at
late.
midnight.
It was so late, it was 5 a.m.
Let's go to Lauren's office fucking right now.
That guy ordered French toast. I just love that being his immediate response.
Subject line
Yeah.
to
I think
Lauren.
I was expecting the response was going to be, I don't remember. That name doesn't ring a bell.
Sure, right.
And instead is, I have never forgotten. It has haunted me. I picked up the bill and he ordered French toast for dinner at the Ivy.
I just think we now have to go to one of the fancier restaurants in New York City that does do breakfast, though, because we need it to be at least a concept.
Uh-huh.
And then at dinner, make the power move of being like, can we order French toast? What happens if we do that?
That's our next
That's our power move. That's our next
Patreon tier.
Patreon
Yeah,
episode.
okay.
We go to fucking, per se, and we're like, do you have
Sure.
French toast, though? What else do we have to talk about with
Well,
this
their
movie?
breakup
We've
at
talked about
the
most
end,
things.
where
Yeah,
she
they're
really
rainbow
gets to
room.
pull out all the big stops, where she's talking about how she doesn't want him to go. Like it's beautiful.
It is.
I've never seen The Way We Were, but I feel like that's like the famous ending of The Way We Were too, where they're standing out on a street
A
corner and
famous
being
sap
like,
fest.
yeah, exactly.
A good movie.
It really pulls it out at the end, where even if
Good
you weren't
sap
that invested in the relationship, I feel like her heartbreak is really.
She doesn't get
palpable.
the Oscar nom. Do you think she deserved it, Griff? She kind of got.
You're talking for actress or for director?
Well, we'll talk
Okay,
about
thank you.
director.
Thank you. Did this film direct itself?
Right. But actress, she doesn't get the nom. And I think she kind of got. She was actually the target of ridicule for her performance.
Yes.
Maybe ridicule is too strong, but like everyone was kind of like, well, the movie Nolte is amazing and
Right.
it's such an interesting movie, but like, Dr. Lowenstein, like that. Like, so do you think she even had a shot at an Oscar nom? Because it got a bunch of other Oscar noms.
Yes. I mean, I assume she got the Globe nom for this. They didn't give her a Globe acting nom?
They did not.
Wow.
Those
I mean,
rude little fuckers.
This is the year that Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon get
Yeah,
in for Thelma and Louise.
correct.
Like that's tough. Like that's a
So
lot of
the
space in Best
Oscar
Actress.
List is those two, Gina and Susan, Jodie Foster for Silence of the Lambs,
Good performance.
Laura Dern for Rambling Rose, which is a very big performance.
Yeah.
She sings and stuff, and Bette Midler for The Boys, which is a very big performance. She sings and
Movie I
stuff.
haven't seen.
Bette versus Barbara.
That's wild.
Fierce.
The Globes obviously put. They put. Let me see.
Prince of Tides and comedy?
No.
Comedy or musical?
They do. I know. Yeah, they put Bette in comedy
Mhm.
or musical, but everyone else I just named is in drama. And then Annette Bening gets the nom for Bugsy as the fifth.
Wild. And who were
Bugsy's-
their other comedy nominees?
Ellen Barkin in Switch, of
Wow.
course.
Of course.
the Adam Sandler remote control movie.
The Blake Edwards. No, that's
that's
Vic.
Jimmy Smith's. No, it's who plays the man?
It is Jimmy Smith.
Jimmy Smith plays her love interest. A man wakes up in Ellen Barkin's body and then falls in love with Jimmy Smith.
Oh fuck!
I think is the premise of that movie.
Oh sure, Tony Roberts maybe. I don't
Maybe.
know. I don't know.
Yeah.
who that- Ellen Barkin in Switch, Kathy Bates in Fried Green Tomatoes, Michelle Pfeiffer in Frankie and Johnny, which previously mentioned, and a great nom, Angelica Houston in The Addams Family.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah. Bette Midler
and Kathy
beats all
Bates
of
for
them.
Fried Green Tomatoes is also great because
That's a good-
Tandy gets in the Oscars and you're like,
Support. Yeah.
okay.
Well, that was just a Miss Daisy
Yes,
after
a
wash.
Halo
Right.
thing.
But after wash, that's not a word. But do we have to talk box office and Oscars, but is there anything left in the Prince of Tides we need to mention?
I think Way We Were is an analog for what she's trying to replicate here to a degree while doing other things. I think she knows that's a thing she can sell that makes this movie accessible in a mainstream way.
Right.
And
I
it
need to
sends you-
send him out.
It sends you out with a big feeling, which
Yeah.
you need.
Yeah, exactly.
I do feel like their relationship comes so late and is wrapped up so quickly.
Yes.
Because it's just kind of like at the Rainbow Room, he's like,
By the way, I haven't told you. Here are 4 conversations I've had with Blake Danner over the phone.
like the movie's working at a very specific pace of things being like dealt out one bit of information at a time.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, as we said, there's like this 2-month lost weekend.
That's compressed.
And then you find out like, oh, by the way, he's been reigniting a thing over here. I was a little stunned when I like hit the status button on my remote and went like, oh, this thing's 5 minutes away from ending.
Yeah.
Right. But you both are kind of like, this thing needs to end. And how could it possibly end, though?
Yes.
We're just starting a new tale here.
Mhm.
Right.
Maybe she should have bifurcated it.
2-part Prince of Tides.
The Prince,
Right.
part 2 of Tides.
That's definitely
Tides go in,
how you do
tides
it.
go
That's how you do it. Yeah.
You call one movie Tide Go In, and you call the other
No,
movie
high tide,
Go
low
Out.
tide.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Then you got time for the tiger.
Then you could fit the tiger in.
The Prince of Tigers.
Exactly. Could have a whole sequence where Jason Gould, plays varsity basketball, football, whatever.
Becomes an MMA fighter. The toughest man in the world who
Well, you
hates
do
playing
that
music.
to Seed Warrior too.
I think that moment's really nice when he makes him play and Nolte says, if I could play like that, I'd never pick up a football in my life. And Gould says, why do I have to choose?
I love that scene, as absurd as it is.
Absurd.
Just as a New Yorker, to watch people play violin in front of a train station platform where you're like, get out of the way.
Yeah.
It's such a lovely.
Gotta get to Ronkonkoma.
They have a genuinely lovely relationship in this movie, as ridiculous as that plot is.
No, once again, I was ready for the plot line to be, you have to toughen him up, and I was very pleasantly surprised by what it ends up being.
Make the sequel at Tanglewood.
Ben?
Yes. I love the
Maestro has
derisive.
a lot of Tanglewood. If you want Tanglewood content this year, to bring it back to Maestro,
The way the father talks about Tanglewood.
It sounds like military camp.
Right. It's the flip. Yes, exactly.
You have to go to Tanglewood.
I'm going to send you to Tanglewood where you'll learn how to really make people cry.
By the way, Metro North doesn't go to fucking Tanglewood. Ben, any more thoughts on Prince of Tides before I give you the Oscars? I'm going to give you the Oscars.
We're going to hand you a bunch of Oscars.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, for what?
I don't know.
Coolest
We'll figure it out.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New
category.
No.
Okay. So yes, this film was nominated for various Oscars,
Mhm.
winning 0, right? No Oscar wins.
It
yes.
wins 0. Yes.
It was nominated for 7 Oscars, but Streisand was passed over for Best Directress. I'm joking.
That's what we called it back then, as Best Directress. Yeah.
And Crystal says, well, what did the movie direct itself now?
Oh no, he sings it.
He sings it.
You're not going to sing it?
No, I'm not.
He
Do you
sings it
wish
to the
sing
tune
it?
of Evergreen?
To the tune of Nobody's Gonna Rain in My Parade.
Right.
He had already made that comment for Driving Miss Daisy. Now this,
Crystal himself did.
yes.
Mhm.
Now, with 2 years prior,
Which at that point was the rare Best Picture winner
Maybe
without a nomination.
like only
Yeah.
one or whatever.
This
One-
comes in the middle of a run that Columbia Pictures specifically had 3 consecutive years where it was Awakenings, this, and A Few Good Men. 3 Best Picture nominees.
and Driving Miss Daisy, right? As well, isn't that?
That's
all?
Warner Brothers.
Okay, fine.
It was 3 Columbias.
It's the fucking one. No, yes, I know. Columbia issued a statement
Yes.
being like, I guess these movies directed themselves.
We have this
essentially.
particular problem.
Well, and Penny
Right.
Marshall and Barbara Streisand kind of gives you the sexism.
and
part
Rob
of it,
Reiner,
too.
but it's also, yes, the double sexism, but it's
Listen.
fascinating that it's 3 people who are like beloved within Hollywood.
yeah, and
beloved Jewish actors turned
Yes.
directors, which is
And
why
2
they
of them
got
are women,
passed
which
over.
is hugely
2 of
part
them
of
are
it.
well,
women.
but it's at the same time that Costner's running around, so
Yep.
like the actor turned director thing isn't
Do
consistent.
you want to try and stop Costner running around? You're going to tackle that guy?
He made 2 movies in the desert.
But right, like no, within this 10-year period, Costner, Clint, Redford, Beatty all
Yes.
win director.
But
But
can you tell me the 5 nominees for Best Director?
yes, because I looked it up.
This is the rub.
Okay.
So it's Oliver Stone, JFK.
Yes, a Best Picture nominee.
Levinson for Bugsy
That's
is the one. That's
the
the one you
soft
bump.
one. But obviously, that was a Best Picture nominee. Keep
Demi
going.
Silence of the Lambs, who
He won.
wins deservedly.
Yes. And then 2 subs.
Right.
So 1 for Beauty and the Beast and 1 for Prince of Tides.
Right. The Beauty and the Beast one is like, well, they're obviously not
That's
ready
not
to
gonna get a
nominate
directing
animation.
nomination. Right.
Okay. So then the other 2 this year, and I looked up, one's Ridley.
Yep.
Ridley Scott for Thelma and Louise, a baffling Best Picture snub.
Is that his
yes.
first nomination?
Maybe, yes. I can't remember.
In a certain way, it would have been less surprising if they had done the opposite.
Yeah.
If Thelma had gotten the Best Picture nomination and Barbara had gotten the director nomination.
Yes.
I guess so, but like obviously Ridley deserves that nom. Thelma not getting the Best Picture nomination is confusing. It got a ton of Oscar nominations, and it was his first nom,
One screenplay.
and it won screenplay. Like it was
Yeah.
clearly
Well, it gets
in
knocked
at
out
the
by Beauty and the Beast.
No, it
like
gets-
that's the swap,
or
right?
fucking Bugsy, which
Yeah.
is actively awful, but
Yeah,
whatever.
but
I've never
Bugsy is
seen.
one of those
It's like a big
movies.
Tony costume
Right.
piece.
It
Yeah.
acted so much like an Oscar movie that people were like, we're supposed to take this seriously,
Uh-huh.
right?
That still
Who's the other
happens.
nominee?
The other one is
It's the youngest nominee
Oh,
in this category
Singleton.
ever.
Yeah.
It's John
Yes.
Singleton for Boys in
Right.
the Hood. So I'm like, Billy, you want to go out there? I hate it when people say that shit. Because I'm like, there's 5 nominees.
Yeah.
Tell me who's not getting the nomination.
Yeah.
And if Billy wanted to go up there and be like, honestly, Levinson phoned it in, then I'm like, all right, Billy.
Yes.
But if you're going to go up there in the year they first nominated a black man for Best Director and be like, I guess, Prince of Tides directed itself, I'm like, of course the Prince of Tides gets knocked off. That is a marginal Best Picture contender.
I agree with you.
It's clear that was 4th or 5th.
I agree with you.
Spots,
but the narrative that is forming at the time is Lena Wertmuller is the only female Best Director nominee.
Yes.
Right? And she's a foreign director. Barbara Streisand is like the queen of Hollywood in some ways.
She's a queen of America.
Sure. Of
She's
showbiz.
a queen of showbiz.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yentl, she gets the Golden Globe win, which Golden Globes mean nothing.
They love a Barbara.
But it did feel like it was this like signal of like, we are going to push this notion that she's taken seriously as a director, and then she was snubbed for the director nomination.
Well, Yentl didn't get any major nomination. Get one major nomination.
But then this movie's coming out with the like Barbara's really wanting to prove herself. So I think it felt like more of a deliberate snub than just she didn't make the cut.
Because it's something she so visibly wanted.
Yes.
I do think it's partly that don't
they did the same
think
thing with
we
Bradley
take you seriously.
too, by the way.
100%. It's what they did to Bradley,
Yes.
and they've done it to various other people.
They rain on your parade.
You know what? They don't think you're so special just because you directed a movie we like.
Yeah.
We know you're not a director.
Yeah.
Like, is sort of the implication. I guess
it's just funny that this is in the same period where, as we said, like 4 A-list leading men all score Best Director, Best Picture wins.
Redford,
or I guess Beatty doesn't win Picture, but yes, Redford, Costner,
Beatty,
Eastwood, Beatty.
Yeah, the Eastwood.
And Gibson's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, so in 15 years,
it was a hot trend.
Huge.
Yeah.
Leading men.
And none of them are as famous as Barbara Streisand, really.
No, and all of them,
very
I mean,
famous.
like Beatty, Redford certainly both have the reputation of being as like obsessive, controlling.
They're creative forces, right? Yes,
Right.
Yeah, sort of similar to Streisand. They
Costner as well. But once the movies came out,
chill. That guy is fucking chill.
Once the movies came out,
It's a
people were
Babylon
like,
Brook.
we take back our criticisms.
A little bit.
Right?
Uh-huh.
We thought these guys were insane control freaks and egomaniacs, but the movie
and
silenced
Braveheart
us.
are also both kind of like, nobody believed in you type things, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like these were seen as follies.
Right.
But also Prince
yeah.
of Tides is like a women's picture, kind
This
of.
is
And
true.
that's not what
Disrespected.
Braveheart and Dances with Wolves
Totally.
or Silence of the Lambs are, really. Although
Yes.
Well, and
Silence of
also
the Lambs
Thelma and
rules.
Louise getting snubbed out of Best Picture.
Mhm.
Fried Green Tomatoes got a couple now.
Right.
Like there are other films about women, right? Instead, they're like, make room for Bugsy.
No, but that's a good point. Like, you're like Fried Green
Have you all
Tomatoes.
seen Bugsy? Or am I the only
Are
person
you guys going to do a
who's seen
Never
Levinson
gonna watch
series and
Bugsy.
catch up with this stuff?
Bugsy? I guess if we did
there's so many
Levinson,
gems.
would be when you have to watch Bugsy, which is a chore of a
But
film.
Silence of the Lambs and Thelma and Louise both being like quote unquote women's pictures through a certain lens,
Mhm.
right? But both directed by men. Fried Green Tomatoes is directed by Herbert Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he must
I mean,
have been-
Rambling
he must
Rose
have been
is
a
a
fried green tomato himself.
interesting women's picture adjacent kind of thing. It's a strange year.
Okay, let's just do the box office game, Katie. How late are you for this thing?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, all right. Christmas 1991, Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
Prince of Tides is opening to a robust $15 million.
It ends up making 70?
75. Very good.
Hey.
Not seeing an international number here. Maybe the tides didn't spread across the world.
National number somewhere.
Yeah, maybe a failing of the numbers.
I can imagine this being something that doesn't translate
It probably
great
didn't play
overseas.
huge overseas. I'm sure it was released overseas.
Sure.
I mean, it's got tides in it. I mean, seas.
Tides are huge.
But it's opening number 4, Griffin.
Tides, seas. It made 61 overseas for 135 total.
Money is
Wow.
made. The movie
Yeah.
cost
Yeah.
$27 million to make. Streisand proud that it came in under budget. Because I think
Well
Yentl went
done.
slightly over budget.
Mhm.
I mean, Yentl is like 10 times the scale of this thing, really, with all
Yentl,
those, like,
Yentl's big.
Eastern European villages.
And Patinkin, too, lighting that man. It's a Herculean effort.
Yeah, but
Manscaping.
with the results you get.
No, that's impossible. That is a true tide you cannot keep back. I shaved the man and it just grew back the second I did it. That beard grows in 1 minute.
1 minute.
Number 1 at the box office is a family film from a gigantic director that made a lot of money but was perceived at the time as a big flop.
Hook.
Hook.
Oh. You guys never did Hook, right? Because you started Spielberg after.
One day we'll do it. And we'll both be like, it's mid, and everyone will yell at us.
Everyone will yell at us.
Because now Hook is seen as one of the 4 or 5 best movies ever made.
The Hook tide can turn again. It's going to go back and forth.
I'm going insane every time I have the Hook conversation.
I feel like I'm going insane every time I watch Hook.
Yes.
And I see those sets and I see Hoffman.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I'm so excited for this movie. And then it's 2.5 hours of Spielberg like crying at me about like how he could be a better dad. And I'm like, entertain me.
I know. And I'm like,
you're good at it. I know you are.
Why do we agree with our parents where everyone else of our generation fell for it?
Right.
Because there are a lot of those movies I fell for and I hold a lot of nostalgia for still.
And Hook cost us $70 million is what I'm reading here on Wikipedia.
Because he built these sets. The sets are incredible in that movie. It's beautiful gowns. You know, you're like, great sets, incredible sets. Hook is number 1. Number 2, the true family hit of the year. A Best Picture nominee. Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
Good movie. How do you feel about it?
Oh, masterpiece.
Do your kids like it?
We have not.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah, we haven't done princesses a ton. I have boys, obviously. I feel like we should go back to it. I did
I loved that movie when I was a kid, though. I was very into it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like scary and fun.
Have you not been doing classic Disney much at all, or just not the princess one?
Some classic Disney, but like again, they have like Disney Plus gives them total control over watching whatever they want. So they watch Bluey, which I love Bluey. I'm not going to say anything bad about it, but
Bluey's the best.
Yeah, I want to like go see some of these in the big screen and be like, you were going to watch this thing.
Jungle Book, Robin Hood.
Like those like the boy movies to go with. Yeah, Robin Hood's been high on the list actually because I think they would really like it.
Robin Hood's so good.
Yeah.
This is, I want to point out, sorry, one more shout out to James Newton Howard. It's his first Oscar nomination is for composing this film. He says Barbara, sweetheart, but quite blunt. If you're thin-skinned, not easy to take. And Barbara says like, she is guilty sometimes of like sitting in a scoring session and being like, no, oboe there, you know, like literally like noting it to that level of
I want to
detail.
say this before I forget. Sorry. Thank you for reminding me very quickly. She wrote the song for this movie.
Yes.
Lyrics to the James Newton Howard sort of main theme of this film. And Columbia was like, you fucking put it at.
Yeah, you wrote a song. You performed, come on.
That Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
And she was like, it felt a little like we're going to make you sing for our supper. We only let you make this movie if you do a song. And she's like, I want to be taken seriously as a director and not have the song be the thing. But the other thing she said was like, I watched the movie and I was like, it's his story.
Right. There's no place for me to be singing.
And his narration ends the film. And if it's immediately then followed by me singing, it feels like it takes it back to my voice a little, which I don't want. And so I'm watching this on the Criterion with her commentary. And there's the version where you can see the
when
cut.
You're listening to commentary like this?
Yes.
That's how she
I'm
holds the
doing
microphone.
We Are the World style microphones under the chin.
Her hair, yeah.
Yes. But they have, you can watch the version of it where the end credits have her song over it.
How's the song?
And she's saying, the song's good. And she's saying like, I just really felt it's his story. You don't need me here. And that's happening sandwiched directly in between the last 2 lines of the movie being him saying, Lowenstein. And then Giant, directed by Barbara Streisand. Yes. It's the whole balance.
It just says Barbara. It doesn't even say her last name.
It's the whole tug of war encapsulated in one moment where she's like, this isn't about me.
But
and it's sandwiched in between.
Right,
she's right, but also.
Yeah.
I also have to mention the notorious trivia fact that I'm sure is true, that when NBC broadcast this movie in 1995, Barbara called the network mid-movie and was like, the commercials are too loud. Can you lower them? And they did.
And they did.
Of course they did. It's Barbara.
It's Barbara.
It's incredible.
Number 3 at the box office, Griffin. It's a family comedy. It's a remake. Families Are Eaten at Christmas in 1991.
Father of the Bride?
Father of the Bride with Steve Martin.
Yep.
And Diane Keaton.
Yeah.
And a little Martin Short.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Great time for gay representation in Hollywood.
It's never been better. And Kieran Culkin.
Kieran Culkin. And Kimberly Williams, I want to say. I can't
Kimberly
remember the
Williams
name.
Paisley?
Oh, did she marry a Paisley?
I think she married Barry.
I think that
Did she put on the Paisley?
Sound correct.
Yeah.
It is Kimberly Williams.
In a very famous house. People love that house.
Great house. A Nancy house.
Number 4, Prince of Tides. Number 5, a family comedy. Just kidding. This movie is lurid and violent.
Okay.
And foul-mouthed.
It's a Cape Fear?
No, it is a
Violent,
action
foul-mouthed.
comedy.
It's an action comedy.
A buddy film. We
It's
could
a
cover
buddy
it one
film.
day.
We could
Part of a
cover it
long,
one day.
notorious filmography from a great director,
Part
but
of
an
a long-
action director.
An action director. It's not a franchise picture. It gets
Nope.
sequels. No, it's a
No.
one-off.
My guess is they were hoping for a sequel, and it wasn't quite as big a hit. kind of a famous like cable movie.
It's not Tango and Cash.
No, but you're in the right ballpark.
There's a buddy picture?
Buddy picture.
Action comedy. I'm in the right ballpark.
They say fuck like 80 million times in this movie.
It's got the most fucks.
Yeah. It's like one of those fuck movies, you know? They just keep saying it.
Is one of the guys...
Ben probably loved it then and probably now.
Who's the distributor?
The distributor's the great people at Warner Brothers.
Great people at Warner Brothers. They say fuck a lot.
But Joel Silver had a hand in producing,
Joel
if you've heard
Silver.
of him.
It's not Last Boy Scout?
It's the Last Boy Scout.
Have
you seen
I've
the last?
never seen Last Boy Scout.
Wow. That is surprising to me.
They
That's
say
a real bad
fuck
boy movie.
A lot.
Bruce Willis, Damon Wayans. Have you seen The Last Boy
it's
Scout?
Tony Scott.
Tony
No,
Scott
I have
film.
not.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a football on the poster, so someone.
yeah.
He was a football player.
Yeah.
No
Well,
one's
Nick
a Boy
Nolte taught him
Scout?
how to
That's
play.
what you're saying?
Huh?
No one's a Boy Scout in this movie?
I can't remember. I've seen it like 3 times and I can't remember. They're all shooting and yelling.
Yeah.
Number 6, JFK. Obviously, sort of the best picture frontrunner that year. In a way.
Yeah.
Silence winning is sort of surprising, but then also
Because it was surging
Silence was a
at
year old.
quote unquote the right time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then everyone's like, is it too crazy?
Sure.
Number 7, Star Trek 6. Great film. Undiscovered Country. Number 8, The Addams Family. Great.
Was that a holiday? Was the a Halloween
It's
release?
like a Thanksgiving movie.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Both of them are Thanksgiving pictures. The sequel's better.
Yeah.
By far.
Undeniably. But the first one rules.
It's well acted. It's fun. It's good.
I think
just
it's
love
also
I think the sequel's
incredibly
better.
well directed.
It is. It looks incredible.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Bugsy, which is a piece of shit. Number 10, it really sucks. I watched it out of some obligatory and I was like, ugh.
I think it's the most Tobackian of all Levinson pictures, though.
Yeah, to its detriment. Number 10, My Girl. TikTok tried to serve me up a clip from My Girl recently, and I was like, get it away from me.
The
I'm gonna
movie
start
My
crying.
Girl.
Yeah, My Girl.
That was a Christmas release? That's such a summery
It
movie.
was also Thanksgiving, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a movie I've
I
seen.
heard Parent Trap was released on TikTok.
Mean Girls.
Mean Girls.
Mean
Mean
Girls
Girls,
is the one.
yeah.
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 But still.
But I like
so
how Paramount's acting like it's like, oh, we released it. I'm like, have you checked TikTok? It was already there. Every movie is available on TikTok in like 40 parts or whatever. Like that's just what TikTok
I realize what this makes me sound like. People watch movies like that?
No, but TikTok will just be like, hey, 2 minutes of Sully? You interested? And you're kind of
And
like,
you're like, absolutely. I'm David
Yes.
Sims. I'm going to watch Sully.
This is why I'm not fucking downloading TikTok.
But so
ever.
it's
not
it's the
good.
current equivalent of turn on TBS being like, oh, we're halfway through Midnight Run.
I guess
Okay.
so, but like in an insane way. Like it's cooking everyone's brains.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes it is 2 minutes of Sully and you're like, I'll strap in.
That's it. I never felt the draw of TikTok until you told me that Sully is on TikTok.
I honestly, TikTok finally learned my brain and was like, it's time for you to watch 2 minutes of Captain Phillips right
TikTok always sounded silly to me, but you're telling me TikTok is saying, can we get serious
now.
now?
It's trying to get serious.
It's the only way you can watch Sully, so you better go for
I
it.
know. They keep on taking away ways for us to watch Sully. Government's taking our Sully away. David, what else is in the box office?
I just read the top 10. That's
Okay.
the entirety. No, that's it. The
Read the top
numbers
10,
has
you
nothing
finished
more.
picking your nose. There's nothing left to
I
say.
was scratching my
You got
nose.
in there deep.
I
don't
did
know.
You
not.
picked the winner.
I think I saw a pic.
I saw a pic.
You saw a pig?
I think I saw a pic.
Goodness. No, it's just,
I saw it didn't. It wasn't. You're doing the thumb on the bottom. I think I
haven't
saw a
really
pointer
picked-
finger.
I haven't really picked my nose in
I
a
saw a
long time.
pointer finger way up there.
You haven't picked your nose in a
No.
long time.
What are you
No.
doing in
You've
the
picked
privacy
your
of your
nose
home?
before?
Wait a second.
Busted.
Hang on a second. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I haven't had a real
Does your
snotty
daughter not
nose
pick
in-
her nose?
I mean, she's always up to stuff.
You don't
Yeah.
get jealous watching her have a ball.
Nostalgic. She still has such a
Rooting
tiny
around up
toddler
there.
nose.
Yeah, they're really hard to get anything
I'm
about.
not saying are you jealous? You want to pick her nose? I'm saying pick your own nose.
No, I mean I've sucked snot out of
Well,
her nose,
okay.
which is an
Come on, this
insane
you
thing
use
you have
one
to
of those
do.
contraptions.
Yeah,
right?
they don't like it.
Do you
Yeah.
know about this, Griffin?
I don't want to know about this.
There is
All
something.
parents do this.
There
now.
is something satisfying where you're like, damn, there was a lot in there because they
Mhm.
can't blow their
They
noses.
literally like it's like stealing gas, like siphoning gas, but it's
kinda
snot.
You make it sound really cool when
Yeah,
you
they
put it
don't
that
like
way.
it. They don't like it at all.
I don't like it at all.
No, you would actually probably like it. People like adults probably basically like pay spas to do that for like lots of money.
Sure, I
like irrigate my ass.
There's
Let's
probably a
just do
TikTok
it.
channel about it. We can be like, how much
Yeah.
snot comes
It's
out of
probably
the
actually
nose?
fucking huge on TikTok,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, snot talk.
Mhm.
All right, Prince
Katie.
of Tides done.
You're the best.
I'm so happy to be back in this room
I
with
know.
you guys.
Wait, you're on a whirlwind New York trip to see every single Oscar
Seeing
contender.
Maestro plus others. I'm going to go see All of Us Strangers right after this.
Hey. This is
I'm mixed on that one. Yep. This is
appearance number 7, 8.
Yeah, 7 or 8 would be my. I forgot Starman at the beginning of this, so I'm
Sixth
not
Sense.
trustworthy. Mm-hmm.
We said Sleepless Seattle, Starman, Death Becomes Her.
Those are all the COVID ones. Collateral.
There's Collateral.
7. So this is
Titanic.
8.
This is 8.
Unless
Titanic,
you're
a two-parter.
counting
We'll count Titanic as 1.
Yeah, so
Okay.
But then
this
still
is her
8.
8th appearance.
Richard Lawson's always going to have me beat, but I'm, I podcast with him more often than you guys do, so I have that
maybe
going
ban
for
Lawson
me.
until Katie marries him.
Lawson ban. Note taken.
Sorry, Richard.
Full ban.
Lawson shadow ban.
Quickly here at the end, just want to say this movie deals with suicide and self-harm. And just want to say to listeners out there that you should talk to someone if you have any kind of plans to harm yourself.
That's true.
Yeah, we here at Blank Check are very big proponents of therapy. I think that's not a thing we hide.
There are people you can reach out
There's
to.
a
if you
hotline
feel-
if you're ever
Absolutely.
feeling in a moment where you just are desperate. It's okay to feel depressed, and people want you around.
Yeah. And once again, if you haven't gotten that from listening to this show over the years, Blank Check relates to depression.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to mention that quickly at the end.
Katie, thank you for being here. Is there anything you want to plug?
I'm on Little Gold Men talking about award season. I guess when this comes
Look
out,
on.
it's going to be like the craziest.
It'll be end of
January is going to
end of
be.
Jan.
End of
Okay,
Jan.
all right. So we'll have gotten through the Emmys, Golden Globes, Critics' Choice Awards chaos
Yeah.
of early January, which
Let's
is going to be
let's
terrible.
not even watch the Emmys.
And then I always
The
make
Emmys is the one you don't want to watch?
Fuck 'em.
I always make fun of David Ehrlich, who never plugs our
Of
podcast
course.
when he comes on the show. So Fighting in the War Room, also much more freewheeling,
I always plug
all
it for him.
topics on the table podcast that I do as well. And I'm on Vanity Fair most of the time.
The best and the best.
I'm hungry. You are the best in the biz, Katie. I love you so much.
I'm so happy to
David's
be
eating
here.
goldfish?
Ooh,
Sometimes you steal your toddler's snacks because you're hungry.
nothing wrong with the goldfish.
Oh, well. And Charlie's Choice remains on this on the table anytime.
But I
Well-
imagine it
wants to
fluctuates
claim it.
constantly.
I
Yeah.
mean,
His
listen,
number one
like
movie.
I have not been told if a top 10 is going to be requested this year. He might start his own Patreon where he can submit his own top 10 and people can
look,
put down a couple
he
bucks.
should
If he wants to hold on to the content himself for his own paywall, but we will always accept a Charlie top 10 on this
Yeah,
show.
I mean, he went to
He's
Barbie.
watching
He's
movies,
seen, yeah,
right?
I mean, this year has like last year's Avatars was like a really good, like we both
That was
like the
huge.
same movies
Right.
time, but Ninja Turtles was good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's his top of the year so far?
I should have asked him before I got here. It's probably up there. We saw that one twice, kind of by
But
accident.
there's not a clear cut in the way that like Sing and Avatar have
No.
dominated
His
previous
elemental
years.
fucking shit.
No, honestly, it's probably the Mario Brothers movie.
Well, obviously it's that.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's the movie of the year in our house.
We got to do better for our children. That's my takeaway on that. We owe
Well,
them.
no one
I
think
am
of the
pro,
children.
Like it's fine for kids to have a dumb movie to enjoy. But
I
yeah,
agree.
I wish Mario was just like 20% better.
That's all I
also
want.
90 minutes long.
It is.
Did you hear that?
Oh, I heard it.
Big
Believe
fan
me.
of that.
Yeah,
but Ninja Turtles, it's good.
Ninja Turtles is good.
That's the one that's right by the kids.
Yeah, and the Sound of Freedom. There's a lot of good kids movies this year. The Nun 2. Nun 2 quietly crushing, by the way.
Yeah.
Nun 2 is going to like triple the gross of Exorcist.
Yeah. Although off a lot from Nun 1.
Okay, fair enough.
This is the
All right,
oldest
you know what?
news to discuss by the time this episode comes out.
You know what? Yeah. All right, Nun. We ain't scared of you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Big
So
drop
if you
off.
want to haunt the studio, we are cool with that.
Yeah.
I don't support that.
Tune in next week for Mirror Has Two Faces with our guest, The Nun.
Specifically, the Nun from the Nun 2?
Yeah.
Is there a different nun in
I
Nun
don't
1?
know.
I think it's
I
the same
don't know.
actress.
Maybe she updated her look.
Thank you all for listening. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you to Marie Barty for our social media and helping to promote the show. Thank you to AJ McCann, Alex Barron for our editing, JJ Birch for our research, Leigh Montgomery and the Great American Novel for our theme song, Pat Reynolds, Joe Bowen for our artwork. You can go to blankcheckpod.com for links to some real nerdy shit, including Blank Check special features of Patreon, where we do commentaries on film series, Hollywood film series. And we're doing the Terminators now.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
That's what we're doing. We're doing all the Terminators. We're
Yep.
visiting the first two Camerons and doing those wildly
Judgment Day is
successful,
next.
consistent Terminator sequels.
Right.
Just a clean
All
franchise.
right. Wrap us up.
Tune in
Land the
next week
plane.
for Mirror Has Two Places with The Nun. And as always,
Mhm.
My favorite film of the year was Mario 2. I like when King Koopa is hitting the mushrooms and collecting coins, stomping on Goombas.
Have you seen Mario?
Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Yes, whenever you want.
Yeah, let's see if my head cold helps me.
Well, it's going to help.
This.
Let's make you sound more like Nick Nolte. I think that's important.
Barbara Streisand, what do you mean?
Well, are you going to, other than your cell phone, are you going to hold something? You have any kind of business you're going to do with your hands while you're delivering this quote?
Throwing stuff. And
throwing stuff, getting up, grabbing cigarettes constantly. Yeah. We should all grab cigarettes.
Do you have a dictionary on hand that you can just be reading?
Yes.
Just, we read the dictionary in our offices all the time.
Props. Give me something to do with my hands.
Okay, ready? I got to make it younger. I'm doing like Hulk.
Yeah.
I got to scale it back.
Scale back 10 years.
Okay, ready?